Chapter 2733. Whoosh. At this moment, a fiendish demon appeared on the ground. It was 20 meters tall, and was made of yellow sand. It had a nose, mouth, ears, hands, and feet. This was the famous sand demon. Even though it was unconscious, one could still feel the terrifying aura of death and heat emanating from the sand demon's body. It seemed that wherever it appeared, it would take away all life and water. In fact, even where it was hiding, the water in the surroundings would gradually be absorbed and evaporated by it. Over time, it would become desertified. Therefore, the sand demon would not hide for too long. After all, if it was too long, the place where it was hiding would definitely change and be discovered by other fiendish demons. As expected, the flower demon bloodline is indeed unusual. It's just a small test, and I managed to capture this ferocious, evil, and extremely powerful sand demon so easily. Xiaoping stood on the spot and rubbed his chin. The sand devil had fallen into a deep slumber after being hit by Lin Li's flower domain. Perhaps the sand devil didn't even know that it had been captured. He had only used a portion of its power, just now, and the sand demon, that had been hiding from the Hall of Monsters and Demons, for hundreds of years, had fallen into his hands just like that. The battle had not even started. If other fiendish demons were to see this scene, they would be so shocked that they could not close their mouths. After all, the sand demon was a famous desert in the abyss. Its bloodline's magical powers were plunder, death, and devour. It was simply famous, and was known as the god of death in the desert. Moreover, its elemental transformation ability gave it extremely strong life-saving abilities. Even if ordinary fiendish demons were stronger than it, they would not be able to kill it. But now, he had been captured by Xiaoping without a sound. It was really shocking. Of course, this was the supreme power of illusion. Even if it was a head-on battle, it would be able to suppress people of the same cultivation level. If it was a sneak attack, it would be even more powerful. There were not many people in the world who could resist it. This power of controlling smell can still be improved and excavated more space. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. He suddenly thought of Monica's behavior. He guessed that the reason why Monica was so infatuated with him at this moment, aside from the fact that she was a perverted woman herself, it also had an inseparable relationship with the explosive power of his scent. This was because this kind of smell could increase the favorability of others. If one already had a favorable impression of them, then it could increase their favorability at a geometrical speed, almost reaching the maximum level. Just as Xiaoping was about to bring the sand demon back, he lifted his head and immediately sensed the presence of more than 20 strong demonic auras from all directions. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. In the blink of an eye, 20 fiendish demons appeared around Xiaoping. Their strength was at least at the Middle Ancient Realm. In fact, there were even 3 immemorial Ancient Realm fiendish demons. These tyrannical demons were scattered all over the place. Their auras merged with each other, forming a restrictive array formation that enveloped the void, sealing off time and space from all directions. Under the effect of such a restrictive power, even ancient fiendish demons would not be able to escape from the seal of this restrictive array. At this moment, the area within a radius of millions of kilometers had become an absolute cage space. Six-armed lion demon Chapman. Xiaoping raised his eyebrows and looked at the leading ancient fiendish demon. According to Austin's memories, this lad was one of Monica's fanatical pursuers. He seemed to be Austin's nemesis. Austin had encountered this 6-armed lion demon Chapman several times in the past. Moreover, he had been secretly warned that if he continued to get close to Monica, he would definitely be in trouble. Combining what had happened previously and the murderous intent emanating from the 6-armed lion demon Chapman, he reckoned that the real Austin's death had something to do with this lad. Apart from the 6-armed lion demon Chapman, there were also 5 or 6 middle ancient fiendish demons that Xiaoping had seen in the alley. They were the murderers of Austin a few days ago. At this moment, these fiendish demons had gathered here and surrounded him completely. From the murderous intent emanating from them, it was obvious that they were here to kill him. Austin, the 6-armed lion demon Chapman squinted his eyes and looked at the unconscious sand demon on the ground. Then he looked at Xiaoping and said, It seems like all the fiendish demons in the Rock Demon City, including me, have completely underestimated you. The infamous wanted criminal Sand Devil, who had already reached the pinnacle of the Middle Ages, was actually defeated by you so easily. Your strength is far beyond our imagination. You really hit it well. Its face was gloomy, even though it already knew that this lad was a cunning person who pretended to be weak. It was still infuriated to the point that it felt a stabbing pain in its lungs when it witnessed this scene. It was precisely because of its momentary mistake that it had embarrassed itself so much. Whenever it thought of this, it wished that it could tear this lad into pieces. Austin, you lad, how dare you trick us? One of the fiendish demons bellowed and glared at Xiaoping in anger. Seeing the infamous sand demon being subdued so easily by this lad in front of them, and the strength that he had displayed was far beyond their imagination, how could they not know that they had indeed been fooled the previous time? With such a strong illusory power, how could he be killed so easily by them? Thinking of this, all of them were filled with grief and indignation, as if they had been fooled. They simply wished that they could tear this lad into pieces, in order to wash away this humiliation. Previously in the alley, you actually pretended to be so weak, and let us kill you so easily. Turns out that everything was just an illusion. Seems like everything has been explained clearly. You bastard knew about the assassination long ago, but you purposely fell into our trap with the purpose of fooling us. You obviously have such a strong illusory power, but you still pretended to be a gigolo here. You're a trash that lives off a woman. What are you trying to do, bastard? Your acting is really realistic. The screams when you die, the begging before you die, and the life and death battle during the battle. Even we, the old and cunning fiendish demons, were fooled by it. How many people has this bastard fooled? Do you take pleasure in fooling other fiendish demons? Many fiendish demons gritted their teeth and glared at Xiaoping angrily. They had been in the abyss for so many years, but they had never suffered such humiliation. This was the first time, especially when they recalled that after they killed this lad, they left in high spirits and announced it to everyone. They did not expect to be slapped in the face the next morning. This made them feel even more aggrieved. Ha! Xiaoping blinked his eyes. He was a little confused, not knowing what these fiendish demons were talking about. Chapter 2734. However, what kind of person was Xiaoping? He didn't understand at first, but when he saw the expressions of the demons and thought of what happened earlier, he immediately understood. These demons probably didn't know how Austin was resurrected, so they started to imagine that they were under an illusion and thought that Austin was dead. That was why they had such a misunderstanding. And these demons also saw the famous sand demon get killed by him, so they naturally suspected that they were pretending to be weak to eat the tiger. When they thought of this, they became even more furious. They simply wanted to tear Xiaoping into pieces. Why are you so angry? You should be glad. Xiaoping stood with his hands behind his back and said calmly, "Last time, I used a small trick to make you fall into an illusion and unable to escape, but I didn't kill you. You should be grateful. However, I spared your lives, but you don't know how to be grateful. You actually dared to bring so many demons here. Seems like you really think your lives are too long." Bullshit. One of the fiendish demons roared angrily. You're just a scum who knows how to use illusions. A bastard who hides in the dark to launch sneak attacks. How dare you say something like that? Are you being merciful? You don't even have the confidence to fight us head-on. That's why you used such a sneak attack. If we really fight, I can crush you with one hand. That's right. You're just a little flower demon. A gigolo who only knows how to live off a woman. How dare you speak to us so loudly? You really don't know how to write the word death. Let me tell you the truth. We've mobilized a lot of people to come here today, and sealed off the void in all directions. No matter what kind of trick you use, you won't be able to leave this place today. Just accept your death. Even if all the demons descend, they won't be able to save you now. All the demons glared at Xiaoping with murderous intent. Austin, go to hell. At this moment, the six-armed devil lion Kipman let out a furious roar. It couldn't take it anymore. The killing intent on its body had almost reached the peak, to the extent that it could shake the void. Bloodline mystique, Six-armed demon fist. In the blink of an eye, the 6 arms of the six-armed devil lion Chapman blasted out at the same time. It seemed like every hand was forming a seal. This was the supreme demonic seal from the abyss, and it possessed unparalleled destructive power. On its back, the 6 arms were constantly moving, seemingly ever-changing, turning into hundreds and thousands of illusory arms. It was as if it had transformed into the 1,000-armed Buddha. An extremely terrifying aura burst forth from the body of the 6-armed lion devil Chapman. It was as if he had activated the terrifying energy of the abyss origin, forming a tide. Quick retreat. We can't get close to Lord Chapman. Seeing this, many of the fiendish demons were astounded. They knew that this was one of the strongest bloodline skills of the 6-armed demonic lion tribe. These 6 arms could unleash supreme demonic seals and draw upon the power of the abyss origin. They were ever-changing and could increase the strength of one's body by more than 10 times. Each arm was a peak expert. One arm controlled wind, one arm controlled fire, one arm controlled time, one arm restricted space, and so on. It was as if these demonic seals were suppressing time and space in all directions, causing it to come to a standstill. Then hundreds and thousands of arms slammed down. It was the power of hundreds and thousands of people attacking at the same time. Then the power gathered together, and could even destroy the void. When the 6-armed lion devil unleashed this bloodline mystique, it was as if he had fought everywhere and killed countless fiendish demons. This was also the reason why the 6-armed lion devil was known for its prowess. Interesting. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. He could also feel how powerful the 6-armed lion devil Chapman was. When all 6 arms were unleashed, they seemed to have restricted time, space, wind, fire, water, earth, and so on. This punch had the power to shatter the void. Moreover, the strength of the 6-armed lion devil Chapman had reached the peak of the primordial era. He had completely comprehended the laws of creation and was just a step away from advancing to the primordial era realm. One could imagine how powerful the 6-armed lion devil Chapman was. He could definitely be considered as a peak expert of the Devil Demon Palace in the Rock Demon City. Flower domain, flower petals scatter. However, Xiaoping was neither happy nor sad. He didn't unleash the power of his main body. He merely used the power of the flower demon. After all, this was the territory of the fiendish demons from the abyss. Many experts were constantly paying attention to this place. If he exposed something that surpassed the power of the flower demon, it would probably arouse the suspicion of the kings of the abyss. No matter how weak it was, he had to isolate the possibility of exposure. Of course, the most important reason was that the bloodline power of the flower demon was more than enough to deal with the 6-armed lion devil Chapman. He had long been in an invincible position. Whoosh, in an instant, the domain of transformation on his body was shrouded in a radius of 10 million kilometers. Thousands of red petals appeared on the ground. They emitted a fragrant scent that permeated the space. And every petal was an avatar of Xiaoping. They were illusory and real and fake. At this moment, it seemed to have become a domain world between the illusory and the real. Dong! In the next second, the 6-armed lion devil Chapman's fist blasted over. It landed on Xiaoping's body and instantly shattered his body. Unfortunately, this was just his flower avatar. Even if this punch was extremely powerful, it could only shatter a dozen of his flower avatars. This was the second usage of the domain of flowers. It could create countless avatars that were illusory and real. Ordinary demons couldn't see through his real body at all, and could come and go as they pleased. Damn it! The 6-armed lion devil Chapman's eyes were almost spewing fire. He was furious. He was confident that his punch would win, but it only landed on this kid's avatar. This made him feel sullen, as if he had punched cotton. Such a powerful avatar technique. Many demons widened their eyes in shock. This was the first time they saw the flower demon using his full strength. Just a single blow had shocked them. He was definitely one of the top experts in the abyss. Even they could feel the fatal pressure and aura. 6-armed lion devil Chapman, you really don't know what's good for you. I didn't attack you just now, because I wanted to avoid some trouble. That's why I let you live until now. Now you actually dare to attack me. Do you really think I don't dare to kill you? Xiaoping's voice spread in all directions and reverberated back and forth. However, many demons still couldn't tell where Xiaoping's real body was. Austin, how dare you show off in front of me with such insignificant tricks? What nonsense, Avatar! Let me shatter all of you with one punch. Let's see where you can hide then. The six-armed lion devil Chapman was even more furious. Chapter 2735. Bloodline Divine Ability. Immemorial Demonic Lion Roar. In an instant, the six-armed devil lion Chapman stood on the ground and roused the huge amount of abyssal power within his body. His 6 arms dangled on the ground, seemingly forming a hexagonal frame. His body breathed in and out, and a huge amount of abyssal power was rapidly brewing. It seemed to form a terrifying vortex in the depths of his dantian, before bursting out. Roar! In an instant, a terrifying demonic lion roar burst out of his body and seemed to form frightening sound waves. They condensed into substance and permeated the void, causing ripples to appear in the surrounding space-time. The surrounding fiendish demons were all aghast. They could feel the terrifying sound wave energy erupting from the 6-armed lion devil Chapman's body. If they were hit by this lion devil roar, not only their bodies, but even their souls would be shattered. This was the frightening power of the 6-armed devil lion Chapman. In the abyss, good-for-nothing children couldn't show their faces. Strength was what mattered. If they weren't strong enough, even their parents would abandon these weak descendants. They would never admit that they were weak. This was the cruelty of the abyss. And the 6-armed devil lion Chapman was one of the most outstanding descendants. His strength was obvious to all in the monster palace. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been followed by so many monsters. Just this demonic lion roar wasn't something an ordinary ancient sage could compare to. Soundwave power? Seeing the 6-armed devil lion Chapman using his bloodline divine ability, Xiaoping chuckled. This was really showing off in front of Confucius, showing off in front of Guan Yu. And he actually dared to use a sound wave divine ability in front of him. He was simply courting death. If he burst out with his true strength, he might be able to instantly kill the 6-armed devil lion Chapman. But even if he used the power of the flower demon, he could easily deal with this monster. Flower domain cherry blossoms, myriad swords returned to origin. Xiaoping stood in place. Rumble, at that moment, the entire world changed drastically. It was enveloped in a boundless flower domain. Countless cherry blossom petals fell from the sky. They were pink and extremely beautiful, exuding the aura of spring. However, many of the fiendish demons felt their hair stand on end. They could completely feel the beauty of this flower domain. They could only feel the endless killing intent from the falling petals. It seemed as though every single petal contained an extremely terrifying sword energy. The sword energy of the cherry blossom was filled with boundless killing intent. It contained the power of the laws of karma, life and death, space-time, destruction, vibration, destruction, and many others. It was as if one's soul would immediately be destroyed if one was struck by the sword. However, countless cherry blossom petals rained down from the sky. They were countless terrifying sword auras. Such sword auras were enough to shatter everything. Bang, bang, bang. However, they did not have the time to react at all. Countless petals fell from the sky like a violent storm, bombarding the 6-armed lion demon Chapman's body. In the blink of an eye, the terrifying primordial demonic lion roar was torn to pieces by the hundreds of millions of cherry blossom sword chi. The surrounding space shattered like glass and turned into powder. Damn it! The 6-armed lion devil Chapman's expression changed drastically. He discovered that the sword chi that was as dazzling as cherry blossoms was incomparably terrifying. It was everywhere and indestructible. If it were to land on his body, it would probably turn into powder. Abyssal superpower, 1,000-armed lion demonic palm. He let out a loud roar and his 6 arms danced wildly. They seemed to have turned into a circle. In an instant, they seemed to have transformed into hundreds and thousands of hands, forming a unique chi circle. This chi circle enveloped his huge body, leaving no gaps. This was the 6-armed lion demon's defensive ultimate skill. Once it was performed, it would be independent of time and space. It was simply invulnerable. Dong dong dong. Immediately, hundreds of millions of cherry blossom, sword chi bombarded down like raindrops. All of them bombarded the six-armed lion demon Chapman's body, exploding with terrifying sword chi prowess. The ground he was standing on was completely unable to withstand such terrifying destructive power. In an instant, a crater that was millions of kilometers deep was shaken out. Cracking sounds rang out, gravel flew in all directions and cracks spread out. Meanwhile, the chi circle that the six-armed lion demon Chapman had unleashed was hit to the point where cracks appeared. Bang bang sounds rang out, and countless fine cracks appeared. At the same time, his vital energy and blood were boiling, almost unable to withstand it. It was as if his skin had been shaken to the point where countless bloody scars had appeared. Even though he had barely withstood it, his internal organs had been severely injured. It can't be right? How can Austin's strength be so terrifying? An ancient demon was dumbfounded. Xiaoping's performance had totally changed his view of the world. To be honest, if they had known that this lad's strength was so terrifying, they wouldn't have offended him. Damn that Austin. He's too despicable. To think that he had been pretending to be weak all along. If we hadn't chased him, we wouldn't have known that he had hidden his strength so deeply. What realm is he at? Is he at the Middle Ancient or Immemorial Ancient realm? The other ancient fiendish demon gnashed his teeth. He could even beat Chapman up to this state. Without a doubt, he must be an Immemorial Ancient realm demon. Damn him. He's clearly an ancient demon, but he still pretended to be an immortal demon. Why is he hiding his strength? What is he plotting? We have to capture him and interrogate him to find out his intentions and background. Many abyss demons gritted their teeth. They felt that they had been completely fooled by this lad. This lad had hidden his strength too deeply. It was the kind that was unfathomable. At the same time, an even stronger killing intent surged in their hearts. They had offended such a terrifying demon. If they didn't get rid of him now, they would be in deep trouble in the future. This time, they were the ones ganging up on this lad. Next time, it would probably be this lad ganging up on them. No matter what, they had to grab hold of this opportunity to kill this lad and bury him here. Oh no, Lord Chapman is in danger. Suddenly, an ancient demon's hair stood up. He seemed to have sensed that Chapman was in great danger. He wanted to help, but it was too late. Under the gazes of all the abyssal demons, the countless cherry blossom sword energies fell. After a dozen rounds of attacks, they completely shattered the defense of the six-armed lion devil Chapman and shattered the chi sphere on his body. However, before the six-armed lion demon Chapman could do anything to defend himself, Xiaoping approached Chapman silently. His body merged into the void and surpassed the speed of light. Bastard. The six-armed lion demon's hair stood up. He felt a fatal danger. This was the life and death of an ancient pinnacle demon. He couldn't help but roar. All the muscles in his body swelled up, and his strength multiplied. Chapter 2736. At this moment, the six-armed lion demon Chapman was giving it his all. It was as though he had cast the Skyfiend burning blood technique. Even his soul power was ignited in order to fight to the death with Xiaoping. At such a critical juncture, he couldn't say anything. He could only fight to the death and defeat this terrifying flower demon. It's too late to struggle. With a swoosh, Xiaoping arrived in front of the six-armed lion devil Chapman silently. He looked at Chapman indifferently and pointed his finger at Chapman's forehead. Supreme Mystique, Indra Finger. This finger contained the power of the law of karma and the law of life and death. Its power was boundlessly terrifying and could destroy time and space. No mystique or mystique could measure the power of this finger. This finger seemed to contain the power of the god of the underworld. It was also because of this terrifying power of death that the six-armed lion demon Chapman was so terrified. He instantly cast the Skyfiend burning blood technique in order to survive. The problem was that even though he knew this, he couldn't dodge or block it. This was a sure kill attack. Dong. This finger tapped on Chapman's forehead lightly. The terrifying power of the law of karma and the law of life and death immediately caused Chapman's body to explode. No! The six-armed lion demon Chapman let out a shrill scream. His eyes were filled with terror, fear, regret, begging for mercy, unwillingness, and other emotions. He was already extremely regretful. If he had known that this flower demon was so terrifying, he wouldn't have dared to provoke it. Wasn't he courting his own death? However, it was too late for him to know this. There was no medicine for regret now. Boom! In an instant, the power of Indra's finger completely exploded, and in the next second, the six-armed lion demon Chapman's body and soul exploded from the finger, turning into powder and disappearing into void space. At the same time, this finger also broke all the karma of the six-armed lion demon Chapman. It shattered the scene of time and space. Even if an invincible saint came to investigate, he wouldn't be able to find the cause of his death. It was as though the six-armed lion demon Chapman had vanished in this abyss. Lord Chapman. Many abyssal demons widened their eyes and couldn't help but scream. Even though abyssal demons were heartless creatures, they knew what it meant to grieve when the rabbit died. When they saw Chapman die tragically in the hands of this flower devil, they couldn't help but be filled with boundless rage. Damn you, Austin. You actually dared to kill Lord Chapman. You're courting death. Kill this kid and avenge Lord Chapman. Attack together. Surround him. Don't give him any chance to escape. Many abyssal demons were seething with killing intent. They had already decided to use all their strength to swarm up and tear this brat to pieces. They would definitely not give Xiaoping any chance to escape. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. In just an instant, these abyssal demons attacked from all directions. Abyssal domains erupted from their bodies at the same time. Or perhaps it was the domain of darkness. It was as if it had plundered all light, absorbed all sound, and swallowed everything. Or perhaps it was the domain of flames. It was filled with terrifying abyssal demon flames that could burn everything. Any living creature that entered it would be swallowed up by the abyssal demon flames and turned into ashes. Or perhaps it was the domain of ice. Strong winds howled and snow swirled. The temperature was extremely low, as though it had reached the realm of absolute zero. Cold air filled the air and froze time and space. The might of these demon domains was extremely terrifying. As they came crashing down one after another, even the six-armed lion demon Chapman wouldn't be able to withstand it. He would be killed instantly and dismembered. This was the terrifying might of dozens of abyssal demons joining forces at the same time. It was enough to crush any ancient demon. The might that erupted from them was even more terrifying. Fool! You've already stepped into my domain. Go back to sleep. Xiaoping stood on the spot and looked at these abyssal demons calmly. Boom! In an instant, the flower domain on his body erupted. It was extremely terrifying and powerful. It completely replaced the domains of these abyssal demons and enveloped the space and time in all directions. The radius of 10 million kilometers instantly turned into a world of flowers. It was filled with an enchanting fragrance. This fragrance permeated every corner of these abyssal demons' bodies, and even their souls. Oh no, why did the power in my body suddenly disappear? Many abyssal demons' expressions changed and they panicked. They suddenly discovered that they had lost all their strength. It was as though all their divine abilities had disappeared. They couldn't use any abyssal divine ability. If they didn't have abyssal divine abilities and abyssal demonic power, they would simply be lambs waiting to be slaughtered. How could they contend against this terrifying flower devil Austin? How could such a ridiculous thing happen? What a joke! Why did it disappear? It's very simple. Because you've already fallen into my illusion. Xiaoping faintly smiled and looked at these abyssal demons. With a snap of his fingers, countless cherry blossoms danced in the air and merged into the bodies of these abyssal demons. With a plop, these abyssal demons simply didn't know what was happening. They were like pieces of wood. They fainted on the ground and started snoring. Some of the abyssal demons were even snoring peacefully, as though they were having a good dream. As expected of the flower devil's bloodline power, this ability to control scent and cast illusions is silent and almost invincible. Xiaoping instantly sighed. Originally, dealing with these abyssal demons would require a lot of effort. After all, if the situation was not good, these abyssal demons might flee. Or they might even be reduced to nothing. There would always be a few of these demons that managed to escape. And some would escape. Or even if they didn't escape, if they fought to the death with him and self-destructed their bodies, it would cause a lot of trouble. However, with the flower domain and the scent illusion art, These abyss demons could be subdued in an instant. No matter how powerful they couldn't resist the unconscious aura. Moreover, because of the smell, they were unable to detect anything, and possessed an extremely strong concealment ability. It could be said that if this bloodline mystic ability was developed, its power would be extraordinary. While all up thinking of this, Xiaoping waved his hand, and immediately captured the dozens of unconscious abyssal demons on the ground, including the 6-armed lion devil Chapman. He planned to throw them all to the world tree, and let it devour the corpses of these abyssal demons. He believed that the energy contained in these abyssal demons would definitely benefit the world tree greatly. It might even allow the world tree to grow further. Chapter 2737. Half an hour later, Xiaoping returned to the Devil Demon Palace in the Rock Demon City, with the corpse of a sand demon in his hand. He had already killed the sand demon with his own hands. Originally, he planned to let the Tree of World devour the sand demon. However, if he wanted to complete the mission, he would need the corpse of the sand demon as a verification item. Otherwise, it would not be considered a success. At this time, he carried the corpse of the sand demon to the mission hall to submit the mission. What? You killed the sand demon with your own hands? In the mission hall, many supervisors and other fiendish demons who came to accept the mission were shocked when they heard the news. They looked at Xiaoping in disbelief. In their eyes, this kid was just a toy boy. His strength was only at the immortal realm. How could he have killed the sand demon that had reached the peak of the ancient peak? If this kid really dared to find trouble with the sand demon, he would be courting death. He would be killed by the sand demon at any time. He might even die without a complete corpse. The problem was that the infamous, vicious, and cruel sand demon had actually died in the hands of this kid. And even his corpse had been brought back by this kid. That's right. It's just a sand demon. I can kill it easily. That's nothing. I don't know what those fiendish demons who chased after the sand demon did. I can't believe they were killed by the sand demon. What a joke. The quality of the fiendish demons in the Devil Demon Palace is getting worse and worse. All kinds of people can join us. Xiaoping stood with his hands behind his back with a calm look on his face. What? Hearing these words, many fiendish demons were so angry that their noses became a little crooked. Their bodies were trembling a little. They wanted to punch this kid in the nose. It was just killing a sand demon. What was he doing here? How dare he look down on fiendish demons? How dare he open his mouth here? To be honest, other fiendish demons could say such words. Only a toy boy who lived off a woman was not qualified to say such words. They had never seen such a shameless guy. He had only completed a small task, but he was already so cocky. They wanted to beat this brat up. However, this kid had indeed completed his mission. Even if they wanted to say something to refute him, there was nothing they could do. They could only feel extremely sullen in their hearts. Supervisor, what's wrong? Hurry up and accept the mission. What are you dawdling here for? Believe it or not, I will report you. I will say that you have nothing to do all day, and are here to make up the numbers. Do you know how many demons can take your place? Xiaoping shouted. Fuck, this bastard was already thinking of going to the heavens. The faces of the demon supervisors of the mission hall turned green with anger. They almost couldn't control their urge to hammer this bastard to death. If it wasn't for the fact that this kid had Lady Monica's support, they would definitely make things difficult for him until he died. However, humans had no choice but to lower their heads under the eaves, even if they were magical beasts. Now that this bastard had Lady Monica backing him up, there was nothing they could do no matter how angry they were. One by one, the demon supervisors stepped forward and used many spells to verify. They came to the conclusion that this sand demon was indeed a wanted demon, and was killed by this kid. Lord Austin, we have completed the verification. Your mission has indeed been completed. You can now receive the reward for this mission. At the same time, Lord Austin will also be promoted by 1 level in the demon hall. One of the demon supervisors said helplessly. It had originally wanted to find out if there was anything fishy going on. Once it discovered any flaws, even if this brat had Lady Monica's support, it would still make this brat suffer. However, there was nothing fishy. If he dared to not handle this fairly, he would be the one to suffer. He could only let this kid pass. That's good. Don't dawdle all day. Don't do it again. Otherwise, I will complain about you again, Xiaoping scolded, then turned around and left. This bastard. Seeing Xiaoping's figure leave, the group of demon supervisors could not help but turn green. It was the first time they had been so vexed. Previously, they had been mocking and looking down on this demon gigolo. But now, this gigolo had become arrogant, and even dared to point at them. They could not wait to tear this kid apart. Why is this Austin so arrogant? Didn't he just suck up to Lady Monica? Without Lady Monica's protection, this pretty boy is just a fart. Anyone can crush him. That's right. He even said he wanted to complain about us. Look at that arrogant face of his. He's like a fox exploiting the tiger's might. I really want to beat him up. Why hasn't the previous rumor come true yet? Didn't they say that some demons wanted to kill him for a long time? Why haven't they succeeded yet? This is too infuriating. Sigh, good demons don't live long, while bad demons live for tens of thousands of years. This pretty boy has ruined the reputation of our demon hall. He's clearly not that capable, but he's talking big. The group of demons clenched their teeth in anger. They had never suffered such humiliation in their lives. Right, that kid is only an immortal demon. Logically speaking, he should not be able to kill a sand demon that reached the peak of the near ancient era. How did Austin complete the mission? It doesn't make sense. Some demons could not understand, because the sand demon was a famous and vicious demon. Many demons from the near ancient era, and even the middle ancient era had tried to kill the sand demon, but to no avail. Either they could not find it, or they could not defeat it. Anyway, the mission was very troublesome, and the rewards kept increasing. But now Austin had actually completed it. This really shocked them. Indeed. I was also confused just now. I thought that the kid found other strong demons, or even Lady Monica for help. But after checking a few times, it was all done by the kid. The other fiendish demon was also a little confused. No matter how he thought about it, he couldn't understand why such a thing would happen. Could it be that the kid is actually very capable when he's pretending to be weak? Some demons made their guesses. Bullshit. He's just a pretty boy. How capable can he be? That's right. He's just a flower demon. If I let him advance to the near ancient era or middle ancient era, he won't be a match for me. That's right. His bloodline has already determined his future. And if he's really capable, would he live off a woman? Would he still be a pretty boy? That's impossible. Many demons laughed coldly. They were willing to believe that this pretty boy was an expert. They might as well believe that pigs could climb trees. What a joke. Chapter 2738. Actually, I might know what's going on. At this moment, a crow demon suddenly spoke up. Oh, what's going on? Hurry up and tell us. All the fiendish demons looked over curiously at the crow demon. That's what I heard as well. The crow demon said mysteriously, I have a friend whose relative's younger sister works in this gigolo's mansion. She saw that Lady Monica was very attentive to this gigolo's mission, and seemed to have given him many treasures. Treasures? What kind of treasures are they? A fiendish demon asked impatiently. I'm not too sure what the treasures are exactly, but I heard that there are 7 or 8 of them. One of them is called the Nightmare Vine. There's also a one-time use killing fruit, Ice Spike demonic fruit. There's even an abyss demonic treasure, shadow boots, etc. The crow demon spilled everything he knew in one go. Fuck, a top-grade protective treasure of the abyss, Nightmare Vine. A fiendish demon's eyes widened. It's said that this plant is a powerful plant that can only be born in the deepest parts of the abyss. It has an immortal body and can regenerate continuously. If he could refine a Nightmare Vine and turn it into his protective treasure, it would be equivalent to having an extra life, as well as the most powerful fighter. No wonder this gigolo was able to kill the famous sand demon. I'm afraid after he refined the Nightmare Vine, he controlled it to kill the sand demon. He was so jealous that his intestines turned green. Perhaps the Nightmare Vine alone isn't enough. After all, the sand demon is extremely cunning. If it sees that the situation is bad, it can escape in an instant. In the past, Some ancient fiendish demons tried to capture it, but the sand demon escaped in the same way. Another fiendish demon said, "But if there's an ice-spiked demonic fruit, the situation will be different. If this ice-spiked demonic fruit is thrown out, it can instantly freeze time and space in all directions. No matter how cunning the sand demon is, it will be hard for it to escape the freezing power of the ice-spiked demonic fruit. It can freeze its gravel body in an instant." It voiced its conjecture. And then there's the Umbra boots. That's a famous treasure in the dark abyss. Once you wear it, you can blend into the shadows. It's a first-rate treasure for escaping. It's said that even ancient demons would have a hard time killing an immortal demon with the Umbra boots on. Another demon revealed his own rumor. "My God, just how good is Lady Monica to this gigolo? She's even willing to give such a treasure to him. Isn't that too unfair?" "That's right. Just what kind of magic potion did that brat feed Lady Monica? Why is she treating him so well? We've worked so hard and risked our lives to complete the mission and receive the reward. But this kid, after receiving some treasures from Lady Monica, he easily completed the mission. I can't accept it." To think that this pretty boy was acting all high and mighty and boasting shamelessly. He said that our monstrous demon palace is a mix of fish and dragons, and that he can only be so arrogant because of the treasure that Lady Monica gave him. If it wasn't for Lady Monica's help, this kid would have been killed by the sand demons long ago. Damn pretty boy. He only knows how to rely on the power of a woman. Without Lady Monica's help, let's see how long he can be so arrogant. Just you wait. This pretty boy's good days will come to an end soon. If Lady Monica hates this kid, this bastard will definitely die a horrible death. So many treasures actually fell into the hands of this pretty boy. That's such a waste. Many demons gritted their teeth. They were so jealous that their intestines turned green. They were so jealous of Xiaoping's experience. No words could describe their feelings at the moment. They worked so hard to get those treasures, but now this pretty boy got them just by sucking up to a woman. This was too unfair. They couldn't accept it. But no matter how unhappy they were, they couldn't do anything about it. However, the image and legend of Xiaoping living off a woman spread more and more loudly in the Devil Demon Palace. It also spread more and more widely, almost to the extent that everyone knew about it. A few days later, in a mansion in the monstrous demon palace. That was where the Rock Demon City's monstrous demon palace's vice palace lord, nine-armed lion demon Jintutin, resided. He was a terrifying Archean peak demon, and his strength was comparable to Monica's. At the same time, he was also the father of six-armed lion demon Chapman. At this moment, dozens of Chapman's loyal subordinates were summoned to the mansion. They were lying on the ground in fear, panicking and extremely flustered. "Tell me what's going on. Where's my son Chapman? Where did he go? Why hasn't he shown up until now?" Nine-armed lion demon Jintutin sat on top and looked down. His body emitted a suffocating and terrifying pressure that suppressed the space-time in all directions. It seemed like the entire mansion was enveloped by his world domain. It was completely isolated from the space-time in the outside world. No power could invade this world domain. Vaguely, the center of this world domain seemed to be supported by 9 arms. They were like 9 pillars of the world, emitting boundless power that made people tremble in fear. "Lord Jintutin, we don't know. We really don't know. We only know that Lord Chapman brought a dozen elite subordinates and left the monstrous demon palace to kill Flower Devil Austin. However, there hasn't been any news since they left. We tried to investigate, but we didn't find any clues." "That's right, Lord Jintutin. We're innocent. We're really innocent. This matter really has nothing to do with us. If something happened to Lord Chapman, it definitely has nothing to do with us. It definitely has something to do with Flower Devil Austin. If someone wants to cause trouble, they should be looking for that kid. Lord Jintutin, please investigate clearly. We're all innocent. We're all loyal subordinates of Lord Chapman. We're definitely not disloyal." One by one, the monstrous demons knelt on the ground and kowtowed. They were terrified and trembled all over. "Austin, are you talking about that little girl Monica's boy toy? That pretty boy wants to kill my son Chapman? Do you think I'm senile?" Nine-armed lion demon Jintutin snorted coldly. His murderous aura suddenly erupted. Boom! Immediately, the dozens of monstrous demons kneeling on the ground felt a terrifying pressure. It was as if a world was crushing down on them. Their bodies were pressed to the ground, instantly shattering the floorboards. At the same time, their bodies couldn't withstand such a terrifying pressure. They immediately suffered internal injuries and couldn't help but spit out blood. Dense cracks appeared on the ground like a spider web. Cracking sounds could be heard as gravel flew in all directions. Chapter 2739. Spare me, Lord Jintutin, spare me. This matter has nothing to do with us. If something really happened to Lord Chapman, it must have something to do with that flower demon. That's right, let's capture that flower demon and interrogate him. That brat definitely knows where Lord Chapman and the other demons went. Apart from him, I don't think any other demon knows. Lord Gunadutin, we're all loyal and devoted people. We're not disloyal at all. The abyssal demons knelt on the ground and continuously kowtowed, begging for mercy. At the same time, they wanted to make the trouble seem like it was all the flower demon's fault, and had nothing to do with them. Flower demon Austin. The nine-armed lion devil Jintutin's eyes flashed with a cold light and killing intent. In reality, he wasn't stupid. He naturally knew that this matter had something to do with the flower demon. It was even possible that his son Chapman's death was caused by that flower demon Austin. Otherwise, how could his son Chapman disappear without a trace? If it was possible, it simply wished for nothing more than to personally make a move and capture Austin. However, he thought of Monica, the daughter of the Night Devil King. At the same time, she was also the Vice Palace Lord of the Rock Demon City's Devil Palace. Whether it was strength or status, she was not below him. If he captured that flower demon Austin for no reason, he would definitely be retaliated. He had to consider Monica's feelings and act cautiously. After all, if he offended Monica, he would also be in big trouble. Lord Jintutin. At this time, one of his trusted subordinates said, "Actually, there's no need to rush this matter. Lord Monica can protect him for a while, but she can't protect him forever. Even if we can't make a move against that brat in the Devil Palace, that doesn't mean we can't make a move outside. Moreover, once we capture that brat, even if we kill him, I believe Lord Monica won't become enemies with us. However, if Lord Jintutin makes a move in front of everyone, it's the same as slapping Lord Monica's face. Even if Lord Monica isn't willing, she will still become enemies with Lord Jintutin. Jintutin, please be careful." He had clearly analyzed the pros and cons of this matter. Monica. Hearing this, Jintutin narrowed his eyes and retracted his killing intent. Although he was furious, he wasn't a fool. Even if it wasn't afraid of Monica, it couldn't help but respect the Night Devil King behind Monica. If it offended its immediate superior, it might not be able to bear the consequences. Alright, I'll spare that brat's life for now. If I ever get the chance, I'll definitely skin him alive, Jintutin said coldly. The entire mansion was filled with a terrifying killing intent. At this moment in Xiaoping's mansion. At this time, one of his clones stayed in the quiet room, while his real body returned to the world of the classic of mountains and seas to cultivate in seclusion. The reason why he chose to cultivate in seclusion was that he had gained insight into illusion techniques from the bloodline of the flower demon. Deep in his heart, he was greatly touched and reached the opportunity to advance to the next realm of illusion techniques. The mysteries of illusion techniques are the senses of smell, hearing, touch, sight, taste, and the sixth sense. These six senses form the perception and description of the outside world. If I can control these six senses, then I can control this life. Xiaoping sat cross-legged on the ground. With the comprehension of the bloodline of the flower demon, he had completely comprehended the mysteries of the sense of smell, and understood how to use smell to control and confuse life. As the saying went, one thing made everything clear. With the comprehension of the sense of smell, he also comprehended the remaining fee senses one by one. At this moment, he seemed to have comprehended the supreme principle of illusion techniques, controlling the six senses. Dong! In the blink of an eye, Xiaoping's body shook. His sea of consciousness caused the void to tremble. With his body as the center, Waves of soul fluctuations spread out in all directions, covering a radius of hundreds of thousands of light years. One illusory world after another descended. In the end, a total of 10 illusory worlds appeared, shrouding each area with Xiaoping's body as the center. These illusion worlds also had different forms. Whether it was life, history, or personality, they were all completely different. They descended into this world with extreme realism. Initially, it was extremely difficult to create such a realistic illusion world. Now 10 such realistic-looking illusion worlds were created in an instant. This was simply unheard of. Without a doubt, Xiaoping had reached the realm of an illusion grandmaster. He had finally broken through from the perfect realm of one thought, one world, to the grandmaster realm of one thought giving birth to myriad worlds. At this level of illusion techniques, the number of life forms in the universe could be counted on one's fingers. I've finally advanced to the realm of one thought giving birth to myriad worlds. At this moment, Xiaoping was extremely excited. Previously, he had obtained the soul secret technique, Zhuangzhou's dream butterfly, which allowed him to advance to the perfect realm of one thought, one world. At this moment, he had obtained the bloodline of the flower demon and gained insight into the mysteries of controlling the six senses. This allowed him to comprehend by analogy and break through in one fell swoop, advancing to the supreme realm of one thought giving birth to myriad worlds. Of course, this realm was also divided into the early, middle, late, and perfect realm. At the early realm, one would be able to construct 10 illusion worlds with a single thought. At the middle realm, one would be able to construct 100 illusion worlds. At the late realm, one would be able to construct 1,000 illusion worlds. Once it reached perfection, one would be able to construct 10,000 illusory worlds. Of course, the so-called 10,000 was just an imaginary number. Depending on the soul energy of the cultivator, some sages could easily construct hundreds of thousands of illusory worlds, layer upon layer. This was different from an individual's ability. This realm was the limit of illusion techniques. It could even deceive the gods. This is too wonderful. Is this how I construct illusions? Xiaoping sat cross-legged on the ground. After breaking through to the supreme realm of one thought giving birth to myriad worlds, he now felt that constructing an illusion was extremely easy. Originally, when he constructed an illusion world, he would need to think about many details and try his best to restore the details to the greatest extent to prevent other sages from noticing any flaws. However, it was different now. After comprehending the six senses, he realized that what he had done previously was simply a waste of effort. No matter how meticulous it was, there would still be a moment when there would be a flaw. No matter how perfect it was, there would always be a flaw. Even the gods would be negligent. His pursuit of perfection in the details of the illusion world was simply putting the cart before the horse. However, it was different if he were to deceive the six senses of life. By forcefully changing the perception of the other party, even if they knew that this world was unreal, they would subconsciously believe that it was real. Sogu Reading Website. Chapter 2740. Of course, this ability to blind and distort the six senses wasn't as sick as the true demonic god's ability to forcefully reverse reality and change cause and effect. It could only change one's perception. In reality, once one reached the level of the true demonic god, it wouldn't be as simple as just illusions. At the very least, one would have to reach the third level of illusions to create something out of nothing. However, even an invincible sage wouldn't be able to reach such a level. This was already the level of gods. Due to his understanding of illusions, Xiaoping finally broke through his limits and reached the unparalleled level of world giving birth to a single thought. He was able to easily create many illusory secret realms. Even an ancient sage wouldn't be able to escape from an illusory world like this. Xiaoping was extremely excited. He knew that this was a technique of multiple illusory worlds. Even if an ancient sage could break through an illusory world, there would still be another illusory world within. Break through one, and another, and another. And such illusory worlds were stacked on top of each other, countless and endless. If one could reach the full mastery level of world giving birth to a single thought, Even an invincible sage would go crazy and wouldn't be able to escape from such illusory worlds. Of course, even if an invincible sage could break through so many illusory worlds, they would probably only be able to wake up from such illusions after billions of eras. He could make use of the power of illusions to seal demigods one after another, and trap them in an eternal illusory maze, unable to escape. Even though he had only reached the early stage of myriad worlds' birth with one thought, and could only construct 10 illusory worlds, when the 10 illusory worlds enveloped him, even primordial sages would fall into an endless illusory maze, and be unable to escape from it. It would make them doubt their lives. Illusion is reality and reality is illusion. Xiaoping sat cross-legged on the ground. Thanks to the increase in his illusory state, he realized that his comprehension of the laws of the universe had reached a new level as well. His mind had fused with the source of the universe. Walala, he realized that his comprehension of the law of creation had deepened. In the depths of his consciousness, pieces of law of creation fragments seemed to be forming rapidly as his aura was getting stronger. I'm about to break through. At this moment, Xiaoping's eyes shone with a glint as he was extremely excited. Initially, he had thought that he would require an extremely long period of time to reach the immemorial ancient full cultivation state. However, he had still underestimated his own cultivation speed. Thanks to the improvement of his illusory realm, his comprehension of the law of creation has also become faster. All of this is like water flowing when the conditions are right, without any difficulty, still lacking some energy. Thinking of this, Xiaoping took out 3 world fruits. These were the world fruits he had obtained from the ancient fiends he had killed in the hell world, and given to the world tree to refine. The outside of the world fruit was also covered in golden runes, giving off a mystical aura. It was as if there was a miniature world within the fruit. Any cultivator would salivate at the sight of these world fruits, and be extremely excited. The reason why Xiaoping hadn't used these world fruits was because he hoped that good steel could be used on the edge of a blade. He couldn't waste it carelessly, but he was at a critical moment of breaking through. Therefore, these world fruits could finally be put to use. They could help him break through his cultivation level in one go. Rumble, without hesitation, he swallowed the 3 world fruits. The moment they melted in his mouth, they produced a massive amount of source energy of the universe. This source energy gushed into his body madly, as though it was free, gushing into his limbs and bones. In fact, it even gushed into every single cell of his body. At the same time, he could feel the powers within his body increasing at a speed visible to the naked eye. The purple mansion space in the depths of his consciousness was expanding outwards as well, and his powers were getting stronger. Boom! After a long time, Xiaoping's body jerked out. It was as though his consciousness had smashed through a huge door in the void. He had finally broken through this bottleneck and stepped into a new cultivation state. Immemorial ancient full cultivation state. I've leveled up. Xiaoping opened his eyes, which shone with a frightening radiance. It was as though he could pierce through the void in all directions. Within the depths of his consciousness, there were already 3,000 law of creation shards gathered. Every single law of creation shard filled the surroundings of his consciousness, resonating with one another, and producing a strong, mysterious, and immeasurable power of creation. It was filled with a strong chi of creation. It was as though he was just one step away from metamorphosing from creation and comprehending the laws of the world. From there, he would be able to level up to the ancient saint state. This was the strongest saint below demigods. I'm just too strong now. Xiaoping could sense that after he had leveled up to the immemorial ancient full cultivation state, the area that his consciousness power could cover had already reached a diameter of 3 million light years. If news of this were to spread out, even invincible saints would be scared half to death. Under the envelopment of such a strong consciousness power, it seemed as though he could kill countless living beings with just a single thought. There was no need for him to make a move at all. With a single look, living beings that were much weaker than him would have their souls shattered into pieces. They would not be able to withstand such a terrifying mental pressure. If he had not retracted his mental pressure, even an ancient saint would not have been able to stand firmly before him. This was a pressure that came from a being at the top of the food chain, let alone the fact that he was proficient in illusory arts and had reached the unparalleled realm of producing 10,000 worlds with a single thought. Just based on his illusory arts alone, he would probably be able to kill off ordinary ancient saints with ease. The Golden Crow of Hell bloodline has leveled up as well. Thanks to the improvement of his cultivation, Xiaoping also realized that after he had leveled up to the creation full cultivation state, the Golden Crow of Hell cells in his body were also awakening at a crazy rate. The rate of awakening was even faster than before. 10 billion, 30 billion, 50 billion, 100 billion. In the end, the bloodline in his body had awakened 500 billion Golden Crow of Hell cells. One must know that he had awakened 5 trillion Golden Crow of Hell cells previously. If he were to include these 500 billion, he would have awakened a total of 3 trillion Golden Crow of Hell cells. This caused the Golden Crow of Hell bloodline in his body to rise to another level. An extremely strong Golden Crow of Hell power was brewing in his body. It was as though the depths of his Dantian Sea of Qi had nurtured a hellfire that was giving birth to terrifying Golden Crow of Hell flames. If the Golden Crow of Hell flames in his body were to erupt completely, the entire rock demon city would probably be incinerated into ashes by such flames. There would not be anything left. Chapter 2742. A month later, Xiaoping finally walked out of seclusion. After a month of cultivation, he had completely consolidated his complete immemorial ancient realm cultivation and reached the level of mastery. At the same time, he had a clearer understanding of his soaring soul power and bloodline power. Vaguely, he seemed to have comprehended the laws of the world and showed signs of advancing to immemorial saint. However, his power was still concealed by the formless mask. If he really exploded, it would attract the attention of other demons. Lord Austin. Just as Xiaoping was about to leave the quiet room, a maidservant immediately walked in with a very respectful attitude. There is a very urgent matter that I need to report to you. What is it? Xiaoping raised his eyebrows. Lord Night Devil King has returned. He gathered all the demons in the demon palace to gather in the main hall. It seems that he intends to hold an important meeting. This meeting also requires Lord Austin's participation. The maid told him the news. Night Devil King. Xiaoping squinted his eyes. He knew that Night Devil King was Monica's father, and also the hall master of the Rock Demon City Demon Palace. His strength had reached invincible realm. If such a person was in the human race, he would be an ancestor-level expert with a high status. Of course, even in the Abyss world, such strength would be at the peak of the Abyss. He was one of the strongest experts, and had absolute control over everything. In reality, Night Devil King wasn't just the hall master of the Monster Demon Palace. He was also an elder of the Monster Demon Palace. He had an important position in the Monster Demon Palace. One could say that the reason why so many demons respected and feared Monica was partly because of Monica's strength, and partly because of Night Devil King's strength. Usually, Night Devil King wouldn't stay in the Monster Demon Palace, and would stay in the headquarters to deal with all sorts of important matters. Now that he had returned to the Monster Demon Palace, and was holding a meeting, it was a little unusual. When will the meeting be held? Xiaoping asked. It will be held in 3 days. By then, be it the demons in the Monster Demon Palace, or those who are out on missions, they will all return. It will be a grand scene. The maid replied. I understand. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. He felt that something must have happened for the Night Devil King to suddenly return to the Demon Palace. It might have something to do with the invasion of the modern universe. No matter what, he had to be careful in this meeting and find out some important information. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. Xiaoping originally wanted to ask Monica for some information, but he found that Monica seemed to be with her father, the Night Devil King, and he couldn't get in touch with her for a while. Therefore, he could only give up on the idea of gathering information and wait until now. At this moment, in a large hall of the fiendish demon palace. At this moment, the hall was filled with powerful demons. Undying demons, ancient demons, and medieval demons were everywhere. They could only be considered ordinary and stood at the back. Only the ancient demons and immemorial demons could be considered as the upper echelons of the fiendish demon palace and stood at the forefront. Even the 9 Vice Hall Masters, who were all archaic realm demons, including Monica and the 9-armed lion devil Gentutin, were all here. As expected of the Abyss world, it's just a sub-hall, but it actually has such strength. Xia Ping narrowed his eyes and sensed the strength of the demons in the hall. Just the strength of a sub-hall was probably comparable to the strength of a large race in the universe. Although it still couldn't compare to the peak races, it was still quite terrifying. After all, this was just a sub-hall. There were thousands of sub-halls like this in the Abyss continent. One could imagine how deep the foundation of the Abyss world was. It was no wonder that it could become a great threat to the various races. Boom! At this moment, the void trembled, and a gigantic black hole appeared on the high platform of the main hall. Ripples appeared in the space as a terrifying power of darkness spread out from the black hole. The darkness that was within reach seemed to drown everything, devouring the endless sunlight and turning everything into a world of darkness. Dong! Suddenly, the void trembled slightly, and a huge dark golden throne descended on the platform. A tall middle-aged man in a suit with a rough face and a full beard appeared in front of the many abyssal demons. He exuded a noble, ancient, and chaotic aura from head to toe. Night Demon King. Xia Ping's pupils constricted. He could sense the terrifying strength and aura that the middle-aged man exuded. It was no weaker than the 9 invincible realm patriarchs of the human race. He could feel the endless darkness from the middle-aged man. It was as though a bit of dark power could completely devour the sunlight of a world. The vastness of this power wasn't something that archaic sages could compare to. He had thought that he could kill archaic sages with his bare hands now that he had reached the immemorial ancient complete realm. He thought that he might be able to fight invincible realm sages. But now, it seemed that he had underestimated invincible realm sages. The difference between archaic realm and invincible realm was probably even greater than the difference between Thunder Tribulation realm and Sempiternal realm. After all, this was a terrifying existence known as a demigod. He already had a bit of divinity in him, and the power he contained was not something that archaic sages could compare to. If that wasn't the case, there wouldn't be so few sages who could reach invincible realm. Swoosh! In an instant, the Night Demon King's gaze swept out in all directions, enveloping this region like a god. Every abyss demon felt as if all their secrets had been seen through by this gaze, making them feel insignificant, as if they could not hide anything from this famous demon king. His gaze seemed to linger on Xia Ping for a while, as though he wanted to find out everything about Xia Ping. But with the power of the formless mask blocking him, he couldn't find out too much. Moreover, he didn't linger on Xia Ping for too long. In just an instant he retracted his gaze. Everyone! Before Xia Ping could continue thinking, the Night Demon King, who was sitting on the throne, spoke up and said directly, "I've returned to the Rock Demon City just to tell you guys one thing. The Abyss Forbidden Land is about to open." What? The moment he said that, all the abyssal demons present couldn't help but be shocked. All of them revealed looks of disbelief. They hadn't expected to hear such an important piece of news. Sogu Reading Website. Chapter 2743. Abyss Forbidden Area? Xia Ping's pupils shrank when he heard that. In fact, after obtaining all of Austin's memories, he had a certain level of understanding of the Abyss world. If one were to ask him where he wanted to go the most, it would definitely be the Abyss Forbidden Area. It was said that the Abyss Forbidden Area was a super forbidden area formed when the gods fell in the previous universe era. It was equivalent to a small dark forbidden area. One could imagine how dangerous the Abyss Forbidden Area was. Even demigod experts would fall in there. In fact, there were too many demigod fiendish demons that had fallen in there. It had become a place that many fiendish demons were terrified of. It had already been listed as a forbidden area. There were layers of restrictive formations around it. Ordinary fiendish demons couldn't enter at all. Of course, Xia Ping wanted to enter the Abyss Forbidden Area because he had received news that the greatest secret of the Abyss was in this forbidden area. Legend had it that the demon lord had obtained endless benefits after entering the Abyss Forbidden Area, and became the strongest existence that suppressed the other Abyss Kings. Therefore, the Abyss Forbidden Area had been the dream of countless fiendish demons. Even though this place was extremely dangerous, the benefits that could be obtained were also great. Unfortunately, this place had long been sealed by the Monster Demon Palace. Besides the higher-ups of the Monster Demon Palace, other fiendish demons weren't qualified to enter at all. If a fiendish demon was discovered to have sneaked in, he would definitely die without a complete corpse, and be immediately chased out of the Monster Demon Palace. Xia Ping wanted to obtain great authority in the Monster Demon Palace, so that he could enter the Abyss Forbidden Area. He wanted to enter and see what secrets were hidden inside. However, the Night Devil King actually said that the Abyss Forbidden Area was about to open, and that many fiendish demons had the opportunity to enter it. This immediately made his heart palpitate. He immediately felt that this was a great opportunity. The opening of the Abyss Forbidden Area? Could it be that the Abyss Grand Competition that happens once every 10,000 years is about to begin? An ancient fiendish demon couldn't help but ask. The so-called Abyss Grand Competition was hosted by the Monster Demon Palace. It was a martial competition that was held once every 10,000 years. However, such a martial competition wasn't like the arena competition of humans. Instead, all the fiendish demons were placed in an extremely dangerous environment, and they would kill each other. This way, the fiendish demons that could survive would be the strongest. They advocated killing without any rules. No matter what methods were used, anyone who could survive in such an environment must be the strongest demon. No one could deny that. If anyone could get a good ranking, they would definitely be rewarded by the Fiendish Demon Palace. They might even be greatly nurtured. Of course, the rewards and the competition were all secondary. These fiendish demons loved to kill the most. After all, they were not allowed to kill under normal circumstances. They could only move about according to the rules and regulations. This had long made many fiendish demons unable to hold back. And this martial arts competition was a competition to legally kill other demons. In the process of the competition, one could use any means to kill the enemy. This way they would not have to bear any responsibility. Thus, one could imagine the fervor of the other abyssal demons. Every time it was held, countless abyssal demons would be excited. No way, it's going to start again? But wasn't it only held once 6,000 years ago? The deadline of 10,000 years hasn't been reached yet. So why is it being held in advance? Some abyssal demons were confused. In the past, the deadline had always been 10,000 years, without missing a minute or a second. But now, the deadline had been brought forward by several thousand years. Many abyssal demons were stunned. There's no need to be confused, because this is the Demon Master's order. The Night Devil King said. The reason is very simple. The Demon Master wants to select the strongest warriors as the vanguard. And this martial arts competition is a very good opportunity. If anyone can get a good ranking in this competition, they will be entrusted with heavy responsibilities in the Fiendish Demon Palace. They might even become a general and lead a tribe. What? Hearing this, many abyssal demons were extremely excited. This was indeed a great opportunity. If they could get the Demon Master's recognition, they would be able to rise by 3 levels and obtain supreme authority. And authority represented power, wealth, and resources in the abyss. No abyssal demon would let go of such a great opportunity. This was an opportunity to become a fish that leaped through the dragon's gate. However, I have to tell you in advance that this competition is extremely dangerous. The venue will be in the Abyss Forbidden Area. Even demigod fiendish demons will die in that place, let alone other fiendish demons. If you are careless, all the participating abyssal fiendish demons might die. The Night Devil King said in a low voice. Abyss Forbidden Area. Instantly, many abyssal demons seemed to have been splashed with a bucket of cold water. They calmed down from their frenzied state. It was indeed as the Night Devil King said. If they weren't strong enough, they might die in the Abyss Forbidden Area instantly. Even if they were strong enough to protect themselves, they might still die if they were careless. Because the danger of the Abyss Forbidden Area didn't only come from other abyssal demons, but also from the forbidden area itself. And there are almost no restrictions on the strength of the martial arts competition this time. Besides abyssal kings, all demons of other levels can participate, the Night Devil King continued. What? Many demons' faces turned green. If there were no restrictions on strength, and all abyssal demons of different levels were in the same arena, then why would the weaker abyssal demons compete? Wouldn't that be sending themselves to their deaths? Most likely, the main characters of this competition would be the immemorial demons. All the other demons were just there to serve as foils. If the other abyssal demons overestimated themselves and wanted to participate, they would be courting death. No wonder the martial arts competition this time was to select an abyssal commander. If the abyssal commander was an immemorial demon, then the other abyssal demons naturally wouldn't have any objections. Moreover, the abyssal demons would be even more convinced that the abyssal demon would be chosen in such a competition. This competition was probably a general mobilization before the war. The goal was to select a suitable abyssal demon commander that could suppress the other abyssal demons wholeheartedly. Such a selection method also made the other abyssal demons feel that it was very fair. To select an abyssal commander? Xiaoping narrowed his eyes and couldn't help but reveal a frightening glint. His emotions flickered. His guess was right. The abyssal war was getting closer and closer. Moreover, it was advancing steadily, as though it had its own timetable. If he continued to dilly-dally like this, the war would really start. Chapter 2744. If any of you wish to participate, feel free to register. The registration period is 2 hours, and there's no limit to the number of participants. However, the registration will end after 2 hours. The Night Devil King said, indicating that the registration could begin now. There was no limit to the number of participants. Many demons looked at each other. Although there was no limit to the number of participants, they all knew their limits. Without sufficient strength, they would only be cannon fodder. Entering would only mean death. Although they coveted power and fame, they weren't idiots. They wouldn't foolishly do something that would only lead to death. For a moment, many demons fell silent. They didn't intend to be the first to stand out. Haha, I've long heard of the Forbidden Abyss. How can I miss out on this competition? At this moment, a primordial realm demon stood out. It was the deputy hall master of the demon palace. It was a multi-eyed spider demon that emitted a chilling dark aura. Vaguely, thousands of eyes appeared on its body. Each eye seemed to contain a strange power. Ordinary demons wouldn't dare to look at it, or they would definitely be cursed. I'll participate too. There's something I need in the Forbidden Abyss. If we can gain the Demon Lord's recognition, it'll be of great benefit to us as well. Hall Master, I'll also participate. Count me in. At this moment, all the primordial realm demons signed up. However, Monica was the only one who didn't move. She didn't seem to have much interest in the competition. Other than that, some of the peak primordial realm demons, who thought they were strong and had great survival skills, also signed up. They didn't want to fight for a ranking. They just wanted to see the Forbidden Abyss. In the blink of an eye, more than half of the time had passed. Soon the 2 hours were up. Apart from these high-level demons, the low-level demons didn't sign up. After all, they knew their limits. Looks like there are no more demons signing up. The Night Devil King swept a glance at the surrounding demons and said indifferently, "Wait, Lord Night Devil King." At this moment, the Deputy Hall Master, Nine-Armed Lion Demon Jintutin, stood out and said to the Night Devil King, Jintutin, what do you want?" The Night Devil King indifferently looked at the Nine-Armed Lion Devil Jintutin. "It's like this. I want to recommend a young genius from the monstrous demon palace to participate in the competition of the Abyss Forbidden Area. If he doesn't participate, I'm afraid that our monstrous demon palace will lose a lot of luster." The Nine-Armed Lion Devil Jintutin smiled faintly. He wanted to recommend a young devil to participate. Oh, a fiendish demon that even you, the Nine-Armed Lion Demon Jintutin, admire? Just which fiendish demon is so capable? Hearing this, the Night Devil King couldn't help but become interested. Perhaps Lord Night Devil King knows this demon. He is Miss Monica's partner, Flower Devil Austin. The nine-armed lion Devil Jintutin faintly smiled, his eyes revealing a deep cold glint. What? The moment he said this, all the fiendish demons present were shocked. They didn't expect the nine-armed lion Devil Jintutin to mention this despicable pretty boy at this time. Furthermore, the nine-armed lion Devil Jintutin actually wanted to recommend this pretty boy to participate in the Abyssal Forbidden Ground tournament. This was simply unbelievable. Monica's beautiful eyes also revealed a glimmer of light as she stared at the nine-armed lion Devil Jintutin. She could feel the other party's malicious intent. After all, Flower Devil Austin was only an immortal fiendish demon and belonged to the category of low-level fiendish demons. If he participated in this Abyssal Forbidden Ground tournament, wouldn't he be courting death? Even if one used their knees to think, one could imagine this nine-armed lion Devil Jintutin's malicious intent. She wanted to say something, but the Night Devil King waved his hand and said, "Interesting. I've also heard of this brat. To be able to obtain my daughter Monica's favor. I wonder what kind of young fiendish demon he is. This king originally returned to the Rock Demon City to kill him, but if he has the strength and courage to participate in the Abyssal Forbidden Ground tournament, then it's not impossible for him to be together with my daughter." The moment he said this, it was earth-shattering, causing many fiendish demons to be shocked. From what the Night Devil King said, if this brat participated in the Abyssal Forbidden Ground tournament, he might recognize this brat's status. Although this brat might not be able to return alive from the Abyssal Forbidden Ground tournament, just the fact that he was recognized by the Night Devil King was enough to incite the jealousy of countless fiendish demons. After all, this was a great opportunity to reach the heavens in a single step. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. In an instant, Xiaoping became the center of attention on the square. Countless fiendish demons shot envious and jealous gazes at him. Each of them wished they could tear him into pieces. These two old fellows. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. How cunning was he? How could he not understand the intentions of the Night Devil King and the nine-armed lion Devil Jintutin? They were clearly using both carrot and stick to force him to participate in the Abyssal Forbidden Ground tournament. There was no need to talk about the nine-armed lion Devil Jintutin. This old thing might have suspected him of being related to his son's death. So he suspected him and wanted to take the opportunity to kill him during the tournament. As for why the Night Devil King wanted to kill him, it might have a lot to do with Monica. But no matter what the reason was, there was no doubt that these two old things wanted to force him to participate in the Abyssal Forbidden Ground tournament. But in reality, he had wanted to participate in the Abyssal Forbidden Ground tournament. After all, if he wanted to enter the Abyssal Forbidden Ground tournament, he wouldn't be able to do so without sufficient authority. He didn't know how long it would take, so he wouldn't miss this rare opportunity. Thinking to this point, Xiaoping stood up and said, "Lord Night Devil King, Lord Jintutin, in reality, I've wanted to participate in the Abyssal Forbidden Ground tournament for a long time. I didn't expect to be recommended by the two of you. I'm truly honored." Hearing this, the pupils of the Night Devil King and the nine-armed lion Devil Jintutin shrank. They didn't expect this brat to agree so easily. According to their expectations, this brat should have refused in every possible way. Then, they could use the crime of disrespect to punish this brat harshly and banish him to another place. Out of sight, out of mind. However, this young man had unexpectedly agreed, and they were at a loss for what to do. But they were still cunning fiendish demons. Although they were dazed for a moment, they quickly reacted and recovered their previous shrewdness. "I didn't expect your courage to be so commendable. My daughter didn't misjudge you." The Night Devil King could only say this. Chapter 2745. This has nothing to do with courage, Xiaoping said casually. "Oh, what do you mean?" The Night Devil King asked curiously. "Because the competition will be held in the Abyss Forbidden area. That place is extremely dangerous. If you're unlucky, even the Night Devil King will die, let alone the other demons. I, Austin, am not talented. I can't do anything else, but my luck is very good. Perhaps this competition in the Forbidden Abyss is tailor-made for me, Xiaoping said with a smile. What? Hearing this, the Night Devil King's face darkened a little, and the corner of his mouth twitched a little. This bastard really couldn't spit out anything good. What did he mean by even he would die if he entered the forbidden area of the abyss? These were the words of a demon. Wasn't this blatantly cursing him? This was simply audacious to the extreme. However, he couldn't refute anything, because the abyss forbidden area was indeed a dangerous place. Even the Abyss King would be wary of it, and not dare to approach it. However, this guy was really thick-skinned. He even dared to say that this competition was tailor-made for him. How thick-skinned did he have to be to dare say such a thing? Could it be that this was how his daughter was pursued? Thinking of this, he felt that he shouldn't let this bastard stay with his daughter. Otherwise, his daughter would be miserably tricked by this kid. Austin, I didn't expect you to be so courageous. Looks like this palace lord will have to get closer to you after entering the abyss forbidden area, so that we can take care of each other. The nine-armed lion devil Jintutin narrowed his eyes, and an unknown killing intent flickered in his eyes. However, he didn't show it. If they really entered the abyss forbidden area, killing each other wouldn't be a crime. He could easily kill this kid and figure out what happened to his son. No need. I hate being with men. If you go for an operation, I might be able to accept it, Xiaoping said disdainfully. What? Hearing this, the nine-armed lion devil Jintutin immediately went crazy, and his face turned red. He was the deputy palace lord of the demon palace, a primordial demon. How dare this bastard talk to him like this, and ask him for an operation? If the Night Devil King wasn't here, he would definitely hammer this bastard to death. Hehe, since that's the case, I wish you good luck. The nine-armed lion devil Jintutin took a deep breath and forced himself to calm down. He didn't want to be too impulsive and beat this kid to death. He would endure it for now. After entering the abyss forbidden area, he would let this kid know why flowers were red. Cough cough. Alright, since there are no more demons signing up, the meeting will be adjourned. The Night Devil King coughed. He felt that if this brat continued talking, the nine-armed lion devil Jintutin would probably go berserk. Even he could not control the urge to beat this brat up. On the second day, the news that Xiaoping had registered for the competition in the Forbidden Abyss lands spread throughout the fiendish demon palace in the blink of an eye. All the fiendish demons knew about it, and they were all discussing it. No way, this kid actually dared to sign up for the Abyssal Forbidden Area competition? What a joke. I heard he completed a mission and killed a near ancient realm sand demon. Maybe he thinks he has some ability and wants to try his luck. Luck my ass. This is the competition of the Forbidden Abyss, not something else. The Forbidden Abyss is full of dangers. Even the Abyssal Kings have to be careful. This pretty boy wants to go in and try his luck? I'm afraid he's crazy. I heard that this kid had no choice but to participate in the Abyss Forbidden Zone competition. Lord Night Devil King said that only if he can come out alive from the Abyss Forbidden Zone competition can he be with Lord Monica. Haha, stupid pretty boy. He must be dumbfounded now. He thought he could live off a woman for the rest of his life. Who would have thought he would be forced by the Night Devil King like this? Looks like he's dead meat. Not necessarily. It's said that Lady Monica is very anxious this time. She's practically burning with impatience. She found a bunch of life-saving treasures and gave them to that pretty boy so that he can come out of the Forbidden Abyss alive. Damn it. Why is this gigolo's luck so good? He actually managed to latch onto Lady Monica's thigh. If Lady Monica really goes all out to help him, coupled with the many treasures she possesses, he might really be able to leave this place alive. The demons in the abyss discussed. They didn't expect Flower Devil Austin to really dare to participate in the competition in the Abyss Forbidden Area. This was beyond their expectations. Some demons were gloating. They thought this kid was dead meat. He couldn't come back alive. Some demons thought he might really have a chance to come back alive with Lady Monica's help. At that time, he might reach the sky in one step. No matter which fiendish demon it was, they all felt that Austin was simply lucky to be able to be a gigolo to such an extent. All of them were extremely jealous. At this moment in Xiaoping's residence, Monica also arrived at the mansion's hall. She said apologetically, "I'm sorry, Master Austin. I didn't expect Father to force you to do such a thing. If you don't want to, we can immediately run away and not participate in this Abyssal Forbidden Area tournament. We can run to a place where Father can't find us." She wanted to elope with Xiaoping. "No need. It's just a competition in the Abyss Forbidden Area. It's nothing." "What? Do you think I will die in this so-called Abyssal Forbidden Area competition?" Xiaoping glanced at her. He finally found this chance to enter the Abyss Forbidden Area. How could he leave like this? Wasn't that stupid? No. I don't think so. I'm just a little worried. But it's great that Lord Austin is confident. Monica said immediately. That's great. Women shouldn't care about men's matters. Just stand at the side obediently. Understand? Xiaoping stood with his hands behind his back. I understand. Monica looked at Xiaoping with admiration. But if Sir Austin can get a good ranking in this Abyssal Forbidden Area tournament, then even Father won't be able to stop us. What stop? I will replace him sooner or later. So what if he's the Night Devil King? Xiaoping said calmly. He said it in a matter-of-fact tone. This was a very normal thing for him. Hearing this, Monica's heart thumped wildly, and her face turned red. Sure enough, Lord Austin's current appearance was too enchanting. He was practically a demon among demons. Chapter 2746. Several days later, in the Devil Demon Palace of the Rock Demon City, many fiendish demons, who signed up for the Forbidden Abyss competition, and those who planned to go to the Forbidden Abyss to watch the fun took the teleportation formation of the Devil Demon Palace to the Forbidden Abyss. In fact, every branch of the Devil Demon Palace had set up teleportation formations, scattered in every corner of the Abyss continent. This also allowed fiendish demons from all over to gather quickly. It just so happened that there was also a super teleportation formation near the Forbidden Abyss for the convenience of many fiendish demons. Boom! In an instant, Xiaoping and the others took the teleportation formation of the Rock Demon City and arrived at a base near the Forbidden Abyss in just an instant. Is this the base near the Forbidden Abyss? Many fiendish demons from the Rock Demon City were very curious and looked around. This place was considered an important place in the Abyss. Usually, no fiendish demons were qualified to come here, except for the kings of the Abyss and the primordial fiendish demons. Therefore, they were also very curious about this legendary place and wanted to broaden their horizons. Xiaoping also looked around and immediately found himself in a huge square. It was huge and seemed to have no end. Above his head was the dark sky. It seemed that he was surrounded by the power of the dark abyss like an eggshell. The void in all directions was covered with the power of restriction. It seemed that if any fiendish demons dared to touch it, they would be instantly killed by the restriction formation of the abyss and die without a whole corpse. In the distance was the mysterious Forbidden Abyss. However, the Abyssal Forbidden Area in the distance had also been enveloped by countless spatial distortions. Layer upon layer, and countless spatial restriction formations had appeared in the surrounding void. However, from time to time, from the space-time cracks above the Forbidden Abyss, a terrifying aura of death and the angry roar of the abyss came out, which was enough to make countless fiendish demons tremble in fear and throb from the depths of their blood. Obviously, the Forbidden Abyss here had long been sealed by the restriction formation set up by the kings of the abyss. In fact, this was not a base to seal the abyss, and the kings of the abyss did not have the ability to do so. They only built restriction formations in the area to form a restriction wall to prevent other fiendish demons from entering. They also isolated the terrifying power in the Forbidden Abyss from seeping out to prevent it from hurting the outside world. Is this the most mysterious place in the abyss? Xiaoping rubbed his chin. His emotions were surging, because he didn't expect that he would be able to reach the core of the abyss so quickly. This was a place that even the invincible saints of the myriad of races couldn't get close to, not even in the ancient times. In fact, the closer he got to the forbidden area of the abyss, the more he could feel the terror of the abyssal energy. It was everywhere, permeating the void and eroding every cell in his body. To the abyssal demons, this kind of abyssal energy was naturally a great supplement. The closer they were to it, the more benefits they could obtain, and the stronger the abyssal energy in their bodies. However, the abyssal power was like a deadly poison to all living beings in the universe. Even an invincible saint would find it difficult to stay in such a place for a long time. If he stayed any longer, he would probably be completely corroded and degenerate into an abyssal creature. Fortunately, he had the bloodline of the Golden Crow of Hell, which allowed him to survive even in the dirtiest places in hell, not to mention the abyss world, and the power to devour the abyss. As soon as the abyssal power entered his body, the hellfire crucible would devour it, expunging impurities and transforming it into pure power that he could use to improve his own magical power. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. At this moment, tens of thousands of demons with powerful auras appeared in the teleportation formation. They walked out rapidly from the teleportation formation. Other than the demons from the Rock Demon City, there were also powerful demons from all over the Abyss continent. Almost every city had sent a large number of demons to participate in the Abyss Grand Tournament. The number of such demons was simply uncountable. Looking over, almost all of them were at the immemorial ancient realm, and immemorial ancient realm demons could be found everywhere. If not for the fact that the nature of the power was different, Xiaoping would have thought that he had returned to hell. Isn't this Austin? Why are you in this place? At this moment a crisp voice rang out. A tall and extremely beautiful woman walked over. She had a pair of purple bull horns on her head, and her body exuded a powerful aura. Lightning flashed faintly, and thunder patterns covered her body. Her strength had reached the immemorial ancient realm. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. In an instant, all the fiendish demons from the Rock Demon City looked at Xiaoping in unison. Monica, who was standing at the side, was also a little dumbfounded. She did not know when Austin had gotten to know such a beautiful female fiendish demon. Moreover, her strength did not seem to lose to her. Oh my god, this is the saintess of the Ox Demon City, Shamansa. It is said that she is second to none, and her strength is only inferior to the Abyssal Kings. Some demons seemed to recognize this woman, and could not help but exclaim. In fact, such powerful demons were also very famous in the Abyss continent. Even if not every demon knew them, a considerable number of them would. This Shamansa was one of them. She was the famous Thunder Demon. Oh, this is my ex-girlfriend. It's all in the past. Xiaoping immediately recalled this matter from Austin's memories. Austin seemed to have had an affair with this woman, but this woman was purely a pervert, and she loved to use thunder to shock people. Austin had been tortured by this woman to the point where he wished he was dead. He would be shocked every few days, and his brain was almost fried. For the sake of his own life, he had to run away. Ex-girlfriend? When did this happen? I did not agree to break up with you. That night, you left without a word. Do you know that I have been looking for you for a long time? This time, don't even think of running away. Shamansa's beautiful eyes revealed a glimmer of light. She felt her blood boiling, because she had rarely been so moved by her prey. Originally, she thought that she had forgotten about this prey, but now that she saw him again, she realized that this man was many times more handsome than before, and he was even more manly. She was a little unable to control the impulse in her body, and she wanted to make this handsome man her own. Shamansa, get out of here. Who do you think you are? Austin is my man. At this moment, another female demon came from afar. She was very beautiful, and she was wearing black silk clothes. She was tall, and she looked like a black widow, exuding an enchanting aura. She looked at Shamansa with extreme arrogance, and seemed to be very familiar with Austin. Sogu reading website. Chapter 2747. Damn, another woman. All the fiendish demons were dumbfounded. One of them was enough. They didn't expect another to come. Moreover, this Black Widow female fiendish demon wasn't simple either. Her strength had reached the archaic realm, and wasn't any weaker than Monica and the other fiendish demons. My god, that's the dark spider demon Catherine, the famous Black Widow of the Abyss continent. It's said that countless fiendish demons have died in her hands. Her status is second only to the Abyss King. Many fiendish demons think that she's not far from the Abyss King realm. A fiendish demon couldn't help but exclaim. He recognized this woman. She was the famous Black Widow. Who's this woman? Monica's face darkened. Her tone was a little gloomy as she stared at Xia Ping. She's also my ex-girlfriend. Xia Ping's mouth twitched. That was indeed the case. This dark spider demon Catherine had once had a relationship with Austin, and was kept by him. Unfortunately, this woman was also a pervert. This woman loved to tie people up with spider webs. Austin didn't know how many times he had been tied up, from morning to night without any rest. Once, when this woman wasn't paying attention, Austin tore apart the spider webs and ran away. He was so scared that he didn't dare to go near the city where this woman was. Even when he heard the news, he quickly escaped to avoid being caught. What ex-girlfriend? Austin, you're my favorite pet. Don't tell me you've forgotten about this. Do you want me to help you remember? Catherine looked at Xia Ping with a smile. Catherine, you filthy woman. Leave Lord Austin immediately. Don't go within 10 meters of him. I want to vomit just looking at you. At this time, another female fiendish demon in white came over. She looked at Austin with an infatuated expression, as if she had seen a prey that she hadn't seen for a long time. She wanted to swallow Austin alive. Her face was pure, as if she was a saintess untainted. But seeing this female fiendish demon, all the fiendish demons took dozens of steps back in fright. They couldn't help but cry out in fear. Whitebone demon Jennifer, why is she here? In fact, the other demons could not be blamed for being so afraid. The Whitebone devil Jennifer was more famous than the other demons. However, it was not a good reputation, but a bad reputation. This demoness had a murderous nature, and would slaughter an entire clan at the slightest provocation. Wherever she passed, everything turned into white bones. It was said that this was because she had a hobby of collecting bones. She liked to skin these beheaded demons and pull out their tendons, leaving only a pile of bones for her collection at home. Even her castle was built from the skeletons of countless demons, giving it an eerie feeling. Who is she? Monica's face had completely darkened. She's also my ex-girlfriend. The corner of Xia Ping's mouth couldn't help but twitch. He didn't even know how many demonesses Austin had provoked, and how many of them had taken care of him. His footprints were practically all over the Abyss continent. However, Austin had no choice but to run away from the Whitebone demon Jennifer, because this female demon was also a pervert. Although she was also infatuated and liked Austin very much. The problem was that this woman liked Austin too much. She only liked Austin's bones. Therefore, she wanted to devour all of Austin's flesh and blood, turning Austin into a pile of bones that would accompany her for eternity. This thought immediately scared Austin to the point of peeing his pants. He ran away in the middle of the night. If he was one step late, he would most likely be turned into a skeleton specimen by this woman. Oh my God, Lord Austin, I didn't expect to meet you in this place. This is really great. Since the last time we parted, I thought I would never be able to see you again. Now that we can finally meet again, it seems that we are fated. Austin, you won't be able to escape this time. In the end, you're mine. No one can save you. At this time, powerful demonesses walked over from afar. When they saw Austin, it was as if they had discovered a new continent. All of them were extremely excited. Some of them were white-faced fox demons, some were succubus demons, some were scarlet scorpion demons, and some were nine-headed snake demons. However, each of them had reached the archaic realm, and were extremely tyrannical. Each of them exuded a tyrannical aura that shook the void. When these demonesses arrived, their auras kept clashing with each other. It was as if the void was about to be torn apart, and none of them were willing to give in. The surrounding demons were dumbfounded. They didn't expect this kid to have hooked up with so many demonesses. Every one of them was a famous existence in the Abyss continent. But now they actually had an extraordinary relationship with this kid. Damn it, how could this make sense? What kind of charm did this kid have? Was there any logic to it? All the fiendish demons were envious and jealous of Xia Ping. Why did these female fiendish demons take a fancy to this pretty boy, but not to them? Was there still justice in this world? What kind of charm did this kid have? What was so great about him? Who are they? Monica gritted her teeth. She seemed to be in a state of blackness. They are all my ex-girlfriends, Xiaoping said honestly. In fact, these demonesses were more or less related to Austin in the past. This was all because of Austin's womanizing. The reason why the demonesses that Austin provoked were so powerful was because of the special characteristics of the flower demon's bloodline. The stronger the demoness, the easier it was for them to be attracted by the power of the flower demon's bloodline. On the contrary, the weaker the demoness, the more they looked down on Austin. Therefore, for his own survival, Austin used the power of his bloodline to have relationships with powerful demonesses and became their sugar moms. Originally, he thought that he could reach the peak of his life just like that. But he didn't expect that these demonesses were all perverts. They were either torturers, stalkers, or murderers. None of them were normal. They tortured him until he wished he was dead. This also forced Austin to flee everywhere, hoping to avoid these demonesses. Austin wanted to be a sugar moms. He wanted to get rich overnight. He didn't want to work hard, but he didn't want to die. But this couldn't be helped. After all, being a gigolo had its risks. Who knew what kind of perverted hobbies these rich women had? Later, he finally found a Monica who wasn't so perverted. He didn't expect that she would be killed by other jealous demonesses. His life was miserable, and nothing good happened. Chapter 2748. Humph! Hearing this, Monica snorted coldly and looked at the female demons in front of her with an unfriendly gaze. You must be Moon Demon Monica. You have some skills. You even dare to snatch my man. Don't you have any shame? Do you like second-hand goods and play with the leftovers of others? When Shamansa heard this cold snort, she immediately stared at Monica and sneered. The other female demons also smiled faintly and looked at Monica in unison. They could all see that this woman was their biggest competitor. She seemed to be Austin's current girlfriend. All of them showed hostility and disdain in their eyes. The surrounding abyssal demons immediately became spirited. They widened their eyes and watched the show from the side. This was like a scene of charabah. They were going to fight it out on the spot. Moreover, these were not ordinary demons. They were famous immemorial demons. Their strength was second only to the abyssal kings. One could imagine their combat power. If these immemorial demons fought, it would be a complete mess. However, such a thing was simply unheard of in the Abyss continent. He was just an immortal demon, but he actually caused these powerful female immemorial demons to fight for his affections. To be honest, what kind of charm did this kid have to make these female demons disregard their image and fight it out in front of so many demons? It was really unimaginable. At this moment, many abyssal demons gradually gathered over. It was the nature of life to watch a show. Even abyssal demons could not avoid it. Don't be arrogant here, an abandoned woman. I'm afraid it's because of your personality that Lord Austin doesn't like you and chose to break up with you. Have you ever reflected on this? If you're old, you should find an old man. Aren't you ashamed of fighting with others over some fresh meat? You don't even know your own age. Monica sneered and retorted, not to be outdone. What? Hearing this, Charmansa and the other female demons widened their eyes and glared at Monica. Their hearts instantly burned with anger. This damned girl really dared to say anything. He actually dared to say that they were old. It had been many years since a fiendish demon dared to say such words in front of them. Any fiendish demon that dared to say such words had basically turned into a cup of soil. But this damned girl actually dared to say such words in front of them. She was truly audacious to the extreme. She didn't even know how to write the word death. It could be said that this poked at the soft spot in the depths of their hearts. Little girl, you haven't even grown your hair yet, and you still dare to boast shamelessly here. Snatching a man doesn't depend on age, it depends on charm. You should go back and train for a few years before coming out. Others might be afraid of your father, the Night Demon King, but I'm not. Just because you have a good father, you want to learn from others and snatch a man's love. Do you have any shame? Dark Spider Demon Catherine sneered and looked at Monica arrogantly. Charm? You're not fit to talk to me about charm. You should go back and lose some weight. If you lose a few pounds, maybe some men will want you. Your problem is that you're fat. Don't you understand? Monica sneered. Fat? What do you know? This is called curvaceous and mature. Do you understand? You actually dare to say that I'm fat? The dark spider demon Catherine was so angry that she almost died. Her pretty face turned red, and she wanted to eat Monica alive. In her entire life, she had never heard any demon say that she was fat. Who didn't know that she had the most perfect and most devilish figure? Her reputation had also resounded throughout the entire Abyss continent. Almost no demon didn't know about her. To be honest, she couldn't stand this woman. She was too fucking infuriating. Don't talk to this little girl. Whatever she says is like fart. She doesn't listen at all. She's probably been spoiled by the Night Demon King and got a princess syndrome. She thinks that all the demons in the world have to give in to her. White-bone demon Jennifer sneered and looked at Monica disdainfully. Princess syndrome? I'm a princess. So what if I have a princess syndrome? Look at your pale face. You probably eat very little to lose weight. Let me tell you, you're different from Catherine. You're just plain ugly. No matter how much you lose weight, it's useless. This is innate. You should go for plastic surgery. That's the best way to solve it. Congenital deficiencies have to be made up for later. Monica sneered. You. White-bone demon Jennifer was furious. Her finger pointed at Monica and trembled slightly. She knew Catherine's current mood. She couldn't wait to cut this girl into pieces. She was a white-bone demon. She was born like this. Skinny as a bag of bones. This was a very normal appearance. But from the mouth of this bastard woman, she actually dared to say that she became like this to lose weight. Moreover, this woman's mouth was extremely poisonous. She even dared to openly say that she was ugly, and that her congenital deficiencies had to be made up for later in life. What kind of woman could endure such an evaluation? She wanted to tear this little girl apart. Xiaoping blinked his eyes. He didn't expect Monica to be such a sharp-tongued woman. Her poisonous tongue was no less than his own strength. He didn't know if she had hidden such a talent before. Once it burst out, it was simply a battle of words. It was easy to deal with these female demons. The surrounding abyssal fiendish demons were also dumbfounded, and a chill surged in the depths of their hearts. The tit-for-tat between the words of these women, and the flashes of blades and shadows of swords weren't the slightest bit inferior to a battle of life and death. It was simply fatal, and it attacked the hearts of the abyssal fiendish demons. Sharp-tongued little girl, you really refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. In that case, there's no need to be polite with you. Let's solve this problem according to the most normal rules of our abyss. The white-faced fox demon said with a smile. Her body exuded a faint killing intent. The so-called most normal rule of the abyss was actually killing. The strong were respected. Whoever was stronger could get everything. This was the way the abyss solved everything. If one's strength was insufficient, then there was no way to get anything. This was the rule. The winner was king, and the loser was the thief. This was also an extremely cruel rule. Hee, who's afraid of who? Do you think you can defeat me, moon demon Monica, with your own strength? Monica sneered. She was not afraid at all. She was the daughter of the Night Demon King. She was born with a noble bloodline and outstanding battle strength. How could an ordinary abyss demon compare to her? Other than the Abyss King, she was not afraid of anyone. Rumble. In an instant, the many female demons present looked at each other. A huge world domain spread out from their bodies and collided together. It was as if many worlds were colliding. It clearly hadn't started, but the void in all directions had been shaken by the terrifying power of the world domain, causing huge cracks to appear in the void. Chapter 2749. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. Sensing the terrifying aura, the surrounding abyssal demons' expressions changed drastically. They knew that these women were serious. The murderous intent in the depths of the void completely proved their determination. In the abyss, there was no difference between men and women. The only difference was strength. Demons who were not strong enough would be killed instantly and become low-level demons. Shamansa and the other primordial fiendish demons could make a name for themselves among the countless abyssal demons and instilled fear in countless abyssal demons. That was because they killed their way out and not because other demons gave in to them. In an instant, the nearby abyssal demons retreated. They did not dare to stay at their original spot, lest they were affected by the aftershocks of the battle between these primordial fiendish demons. In a battle between demons of this level, even primordial fiendish demons of the same level would be wary, let alone primordial fiendish demons. If they were not careful, they might be seriously injured. They did not want to be involved in such a battle. Oh my God, they are really going to fight over a man. The surrounding abyssal demons were dumbfounded. They couldn't believe their eyes. They looked at Xia Ping with complicated expressions. Their hearts were filled with envy, jealousy and hatred. This guy was simply a femme fatale. Did being handsome really bring so many benefits? He actually made so many female demons go crazy and fight over him. Boom! At this moment, a terrifying aura descended from the depths of the void. In an instant, the world domains of Monica and the other female demons were suppressed and completely shattered. Immediately, an old man in a suit with a walking stick in his hand and a pair of goat horns on his head walked out of the void. His body exuded a terrifying abyssal aura. In just an instant, Monica and the other primordial fiendish demons were suppressed to the point that they could not move. All their world domains were destroyed, and the abyssal demon chi was completely destroyed. They could not use any power at all. The other abyssal demons were also shocked. Although the appearance of the old man in the suit was not targeted at them, just the aftershock of his power was enough to easily suppress them. At this moment, they felt as though they were carrying a world on their backs. It was so heavy that they could not breathe, and all their power was suppressed. Xia Ping also felt the terrifying pressure. To be honest, he could feel that the old man in the suit was extremely terrifying. He was not any weaker than the human race patriarchs he had met before. The aura of chaos, ancientness, and abyss emanated from it. It was as if it had lived through countless years and experienced countless seasons. It was as if it was a living history. Great Elder. Seeing the appearance of the old man in the suit, even the unruly Monica and the other female fiendish demons could not help but restrain their emotions. They immediately withdrew all their powers and respectfully bowed. This was because this old man was the famous Great Elder of the Demon Palace, Time Demon Emoluan. In fact, before the Demon Lord appeared, Great Elder Emoluan was one of the strongest kings in the Abyss world. Its strength far surpassed that of the Night Demon King and the other Demon Kings, and it could be said to be one of the most ancient existences in the Abyss world. It had also lived from the immemorial era to the present day, running through the history of the Abyss world. Even now, its strength was second only to the Devil Lord. The Abyss demons present were basically its juniors. Ever since it appeared, when it fought in the north and south, the Abyss demons present were probably not even born yet. Therefore, be it in terms of history or strength, no demon dared to act rashly in front of this Great Elder Caesar. This is the forbidden area of the Abyss. You must not act rashly. This is your first offense, so I'll let you off this time. If there's a next time, then I'll imprison you in the Abyss prison for 10,000 years as punishment. Great Elder Emoluan said lightly. Abyss prison. Hearing this, Monica and the other fiendish demons could not help but shiver. This was one of the most terrifying places in the Abyss world. Once one entered, there was basically no way to escape. Moreover, it was completely dark inside, without any light. Time and space would be distorted, and the perception of time would be extremely long. If one stayed inside for too long, they would almost go crazy. That kind of silent, unmoving, and seemingly endless prison, even the Abyss King would not be able to hold on for long. What was even more terrifying was that the Abyss prison would also give birth to a creature called the Soul Devourer. This creature was silent, colorless, and formless. It specialized in devouring the optimistic emotions and memories of the fiendish demons' souls, leaving only the negative, murderous, crazy, and sad memories and emotions. Staying in that place was like turning into a madman. At every moment, one would feel incomparable sadness and madness, or fall into a murderous state, unable to extricate themselves. All the fiendish demons that came out of the abyss prison would more or less suffer from mental illness. It would take a long time for them to recover from such psychological trauma. Some fiendish demons could not even recover, and in the end, it would become a weakness in their soul, like a psychological shadow. Therefore, many fiendish demons were afraid of this place, and would rather die than go there. Understood, Great Elder. Thinking of this, Monica and the other fiendish demons immediately nodded. They expressed that they would definitely not fight in this place, and would definitely not violate the rules here. That's for the best. Time Demon Emoluan nodded. He glanced at Xiaoping slightly, then turned around and entered the void. In an instant, his figure disappeared in front of the fiendish demons. And the terrifying power that enveloped the entire square also disappeared at this moment. At this moment, all the fiendish demons could not help but heave a sigh of relief, as if the calamity had disappeared. In fact, if this great elder wanted to, he could probably easily wipe out all the fiendish demons present and disappear from the abyss world in an instant. This great elder is not simple. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. He could feel the terror of Time Demon Emoluan. There seemed to be a tyrannical law of time flowing on his body, as if he had reversed the law of time. Even time could not bind his figure, although he appeared in the void on the surface. In fact, his true body was in the river of time, and he could jump in the time dimension at will. This ability made Time Demon Emoluan one of the strongest abyss kings, just a step away from becoming a god. But thinking of this, his heart became even heavier. Even such a tyrannical Time Demon Emoluan was still not the #1 expert in the abyss world. The #1 expert was the mysterious demon lord of unknown origin. This demon lord could even suppress Time Demon Emoluan and make him submit wholeheartedly. One could imagine how terrifying this demon lord was. He was definitely an existence that made people tremble in fear. Perhaps this demon lord's strength was not inferior to the great elder of the dragon clan, the dragon god shrine master Samuel, who had lived from the last universe era to the present. Chapter 2750. Humph, Monica, consider yourself lucky this time, with the great elder here. If it were another place, I'm afraid you would be finished. Sha Munsa and the other female fiend breathed a sigh of relief after seeing great elder Emoluan leave. Then she sneered and stared at Monica with unabated hostility. What a joke! Without the great elder here, you would be dead already. What right do you have to talk to me here? Monica was not to be outdone. However, Shamansa and the other demonesses ignored Monica and focused their attention on Xiaoping. Austin, you are mine. No demon can take you away from me. You can't run this time. I will find you no matter where you hide in the abyss. Lord Austin, you will belong to me. You will always belong to me. Streams of divine sense transmitted into Xiaoping's sea of consciousness. They were all transmitted by these female demons. Their desire for Xiaoping was very strong and domineering. This made Xiaoping feel extremely strange in his heart. It was as if he was the true femme fatale, causing many demonesses to fight each other, causing the mountains to collapse and the earth to crack. Perhaps this was the feeling of those femme fatale beauties in ancient times, such as Su Daji, Yang Guifei, De Qiao, Xiao Qiao, and Diao Chan being fought over by those ambitious men. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. After saying that, the female fiendish demons left the place. Clearly, the great elder's words were very serious. Not many fiendish demons dared to go against the great elder's words. I didn't expect you to have such a rich love history. You have so many ex-girlfriends that it's scary. Monica gritted her teeth and stared at Xiaoping. Honestly, if she knew this bastard had so many ex-girlfriends and such complicated feelings, she would not have kept him. Well, it's not my fault that I'm handsome, Xiaoping said innocently. When the abyssal demons at the side heard this, they couldn't help but want to beat this kid up. His words were really asking for it. They were all envious, jealous, and hateful. Why was this brat able to attract the adoration of so many outstanding female demons? This was simply too unfair. Was there still any reason for this? Not far away, the nine-armed lion devil Gentutin and his subordinates were also witnessing this scene. Their worldview had been completely refreshed. It was truly unimaginable. Damn, what did this kid do? What's so great that so many powerful female demons like him? What kind of joke is this? Some ancient demons were dumbfounded. If he was a sugar daddy of a rich woman, then he would be a gigolo. But if he was a sugar daddy of a group of rich women, then he would be the king of YA. He could become a legend. And the most annoying thing was that these rich women were very beautiful, powerful, and rich, with many suitors. And the most annoying thing was that these rich women were very beautiful, powerful, and rich with many suitors. Hehe, this brat does have some methods to make women happy. His flattery skills have probably reached perfection. The nine-armed lion devil Gentutin was so jealous that his intestines turned green. In fact, among them, the dark spider demon Catherine was a female demon that it had admired for a long time. It had also pursued her before, giving her many gifts and spending a lot of effort. But she didn't even look at him. Instead, she beat him up. If it was a weak female demon, he might be able to force himself on her and snatch her away. The problem was that she was stronger than him. How could he snatch her away? But this kind of woman actually liked this shameless, despicable, and weak gigolo. He didn't even need to put in any effort to obtain dark spider demon Catherine's favor. How could he accept such a ridiculous fact? Even without the matter with his son, he would still kill this bastard. No demon in the abyss could imagine his anger at this moment. If anger could affect reality, this area would probably be burnt to a crisp. Boss, this flower demon Austin is really too demonic. I really can't stand him. Just looking at him makes me want to beat him up. I really can't stand him for even a second. A demon said while gnashing his teeth. Don't worry. Once we enter the forbidden abyss, he's dead for sure. At that time, no demon can save him. The nine-armed lion devil Gentutin clenched his fists. He felt his killing intent getting stronger and stronger. If it wasn't for the threat of the Grand Elder, he wouldn't have been able to control his urge to punch that kid. But what if those female demons protect that kid? Yeah, it looks like those female demons are also going to enter the forbidden abyss. If that kid is protected by them, it'll be hard for us to do anything to him. Many demons discussed. They felt that the current situation was a little tricky. If the flower demon was protected by those female demons, they wouldn't be able to do anything to him. After all, those female demons had reached the archaic realm. In terms of strength, they were even stronger than the nine-armed lion devil Gentutin. Don't worry, once we enter the forbidden abyss, all of us demons will be separated and teleported to different corners of the forbidden abyss. Unless we gather inside, we won't be able to gather together from the start. As long as we quickly find that kid, we'll be able to get rid of him easily. The nine-armed lion devil Gentutin was filled with killing intent. In another place, that was a place where the abyssal kings gathered. It seemed like they were in a palace far away from the plaza. These kings could also easily sense the situation on the plaza. In fact, when the Grand Elder Time Devil Emoluin made his move, they already knew. Haha, Night Devil King, I didn't expect your son-in-law to be so charming. He clearly isn't that strong, but he's so popular with women. The one who spoke was an abyssal king. He immediately laughed at the Night Devil King. He's not my son-in-law. The Night Devil King's face was very dark. He felt that because of that kid Xia Ping, he had lost face in front of so many abyssal monsters. He's not your son-in-law, but looking at your daughter, she probably won't marry anyone but him. An abyssal monster laughed cruelly. If he wants to become my son-in-law, we'll have to see if he can come back alive from the forbidden abyss. If he dies inside, then everything will be over. The Night Devil King sneered. Then if he comes back alive, won't you have to acknowledge his position? The Abyssal Devil King smiled. We'll talk about it when he comes back alive. The Night Devil King didn't comment. Of course, he also didn't believe that this guy who lived off a woman could come back alive from the forbidden abyss that was filled with dangers. Even an abyssal monster like him would feel that this place was filled with dangers and couldn't be underestimated. Otherwise, if he took a wrong step, he might die without a complete corpse and turn into ashes. Chapter 2751. Several hours later, Powerful abyssal demons from all over the Abyss continent gathered in the square. Even though not all of the primordial fiendish demons were gathered here, more than half of them were gathered here. Looking over, they were densely packed together, and it was impossible to tell how many there were. In truth, Xiaoping felt a little suffocated when he saw this scene. He had underestimated the battle potential of the Abyss demons. Just these primordial fiendish demons, and primordial fiendish demons, alone could cause great danger to the modern universe. If his true identity was exposed in the Abyss, he would be dead instantly. He wouldn't be able to escape at all. From this, one could see how tyrannical the abyssal demons were. No wonder they could contend against all the races in the universe. If this power erupted, it could definitely sweep through the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Boom! At this moment, when all the abyssal demons had gathered, a figure appeared in midair, emitting a terrifying pressure that suppressed the entire square. In an instant, all the abyssal demons held their breath, and didn't even dare to breathe loudly. Because the great elder, Time Demon Emoluan, appeared again. He held a walking stick and looked down at all the abyssal demons. All the abyssal demons could feel the great elder's abyss-like vast power. The Abyssal Forbidden Area Grand Competition is about to begin. Almost all of you are here, so the content of this grand competition is very simple. Great Elder Emoluan didn't waste any time, and directly revealed the content of this competition. It's to see who gains more in the Abyssal Forbidden Area and who will win. What? As soon as he said this, all the abyssal demons revealed a stern look, and their faces became very solemn. Usually, the abyssal demons would fight against each other to show which demon was more powerful. This was a real fight with swords and spears. It was very bloody, but this time, the content was to examine the gains in the Abyssal Forbidden Area. Although it didn't seem as barbaric and bloody on the surface, in fact, it was many times more dangerous. Because this was not just any other place, but the Abyssal Forbidden Area. It was a terrifying place that even the abyssal kings would fall in. It was a place that was formed after the fall of gods. To gain gains in such a place was more difficult than ascending to the heavens. If they were to fight each other, it would be relatively simple. After all, they were all primordial realm demons. Even if there was a difference in strength between them, the difference wouldn't be unimaginable. The problem was that if one wanted to obtain treasures in the Forbidden Abyss, one would have to face the unpredictable dangers in the Forbidden Abyss. If one was careless, one would die instantly. This kind of danger did not matter how strong one was. Even an Abyss King would die, let alone an immemorial demon. From this, it could be seen how dangerous this competition was. It was possible that all the abyssal demons participating in this competition would be wiped out. Harvest from the Abyss Forbidden Land? Xiaoping touched his chin. In fact, he had heard a lot of news and rumors about the Abyss Forbidden Area from Monica. Other than the top secret information, Monica basically said everything that she could. The most popular and common treasures in the Abyss Forbidden Area were God's blood and God's stone. The so-called God's blood was the blood left behind by the gods after they died. This blood contained a trace of divinity and had the power of immortality. It hid a huge amount of energy. Even a drop of God's blood could bring endless benefits. It could save the abyssal demons countless years of cultivation time. It could even improve the aptitude and bloodline of the demons. After some abyssal demons obtained God's blood, they immediately improved their aptitude and advanced to the Abyss King realm. With these examples, one could imagine how precious the God's blood was. Countless demons from the Abyss would definitely covet it. Every demon would want to get their hands on it. However, God's blood could not be devoured casually. It had a strong assimilation and corrosive ability. It even contained a deadly poison. If a demon with insufficient aptitude and a weak body tried to devour God's blood, it would instantly explode from the power contained in the God's blood and explode into pieces. The so-called God's stone was a special, or that was formed under the influence of the God's power. Such God's stone did not have the ability to improve one's aptitude like God's blood. However, it was very pure and had no poison. Each God's stone was equivalent to a sage medicine. It was extremely precious and could increase one's spiritual power and cultivation. It could even increase or decrease one's spiritual power, and increase one's understanding of the laws of the universe. The benefits were endless. From a certain perspective, the God's Stone was the treasure that these abyssal demons wanted the most. Other than God's blood and God's stone, there were also many God artifact fragments. These God artifact fragments were all fragments that were produced when countless deities battled in the previous universe era, resulting in the destruction of countless deities. Although they were fragments, each one was extremely precious. They contained the characteristics of a God artifact and possessed terrifying power. Some God artifact fragments could even surpass peerless sage artifacts. Even without special powers, just the materials of these God artifact fragments were enough to make countless demons drool. They could use these God artifact fragments to fuse into their own sage artifacts, to increase the power of the sage artifacts. If used appropriately, they could probably mass-produce magic treasures with the power of peerless sage artifacts. Of course, it was not that easy to obtain God artifact fragments. They were scattered in places where gods had fallen. Such places were extremely dangerous and filled with murderous auras. Even Abyss Kings did not dare to go near casually. In fact, some Abyss Kings had relied on their strength to obtain large amounts of God artifact fragments. In the end, they were killed by the power of the fallen gods and died without a complete corpse. This also taught those Abyss Kings a lesson. Alright, there is not much time left. Let the Abyss Forbidden Area competition begin. At this moment, Grand Elder Emoluan spoke again. With a thud, he gently poked the scepter in his hand. Instantly, the void trembled, and an ancient bronze gate appeared in the distance. This was the gate that connected the Abyss and the modern universe across the entire Abyss world. Abyss Demon Gate. Abyss Demon Gate? Xia Ping squinted his eyes. He did not expect to encounter the Abyss Demon Gate so soon. Moreover, this gate seemed to be one of its clones. It was specially used to suppress the restrictions of the Abyss Forbidden Area and connect it to the outside world. However, every important place in the Abyss was closely related to the Abyss Demon Gate. It was almost everywhere. Rumbled before Xia Ping could think much, the Abyss Demon Gate opened immediately and revealed a dark passageway that seemed to connect to the deepest part of the Abyss Forbidden Area. It emitted terrifying divine power. Chapter 2752. Go in. Seeing the Abyss Gate open, Grand Elder Emoluan said, "But you can only stay in the Abyss for 3 months. After 3 months, the Abyss Gate will open again. If you don't return in time, you can only rely on your own strength to leave the Abyss. Of course, under normal circumstances, no abyssal demon can return alive." He swept an indifferent glance at all the demons present. Instantly, all the abyssal demons present couldn't help but shiver. They could all hear the chilling tone in the Grand Elder's words. In an instant, many primordial fiendish demons didn't waste any time and immediately flew towards the Abyss Gate. They already knew how dangerous the Abyss was. But even so, they still participated and were mentally prepared. Seeing the primordial fiendish demons move, the other demons didn't hesitate either. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. In a few breaths' time, almost all the fiendish demons, including Xia Ping, entered the Abyss Gate at the same time and crossed the void tunnel. In the next second, Xia Ping immediately felt a tyrannical void force teleporting him out. Before he could even put up any resistance, he had arrived in another space. This is the Abyss Forbidden Area. At that moment, Xia Ping felt as if he had stepped on solid red soil. As far as the eye could see, it was an endless stretch of blood-colored soil, as if it had been eroded by an endless sea of blood. Just by standing here, he felt like there were billions of corpses buried under the blood-colored soil. He didn't know how many lives had perished in this place. Such a place was also filled with a deathly stillness. There were no signs of life at all, as though it was constantly devouring life energy. And above the sky, there seemed to be cracks. Countless void cracks appeared. Each void crack stretched for tens of millions of kilometers, as though it had cut the sky in half. Deep within these void cracks, whistling sounds could be heard. Violent winds howled, as though there were endless void storms about to drill out of the cracks and destroy everything. This place is very vast. Xiaoping's eyes lit up. His divine sense was extremely powerful and could cover 3 million light years in an instant. The area it covered was simply boundless. Even so, his divine sense was unable to completely cover this forbidden area of the abyss. It could only cover a small corner of it, but it was already larger than a star field. From this, it could be seen how vast this forbidden area was. It was no wonder that these abyssal demons were unable to completely explore the forbidden area. Moreover, under the perception of his divine sense, there were countless places that could be called forbidden areas. There were many tyrannical restrictive formations covering them, and there was a terrifying power that distorted the void. If his divine sense got slightly closer, it would instantly trigger this taboo-like power, and he would be severely injured. This place was full of taboos and dangers. This place was probably even more dangerous than the demon god's relic in the Green Lotus Hell. He had no idea how many gods had fallen in this place. It seems like the other abyssal demons have been teleported elsewhere. Xiaoping sensed his surroundings and realized that besides himself, there were no other abyssal demons around. It was likely that when he was being teleported, he had randomly teleported many abyssal demons to various corners of the forbidden abyss. Of course, they were all teleported to the outer corners of the forbidden grounds. If they were teleported to the depths of the forbidden grounds, then it wouldn't be a grand competition anymore. They would simply want to exterminate all the abyssal demons. Roar! Just then, a terrifying roar came from afar. It was like the roar of a giant abyssal beast. It caused the laws of the void to tremble. It was deafening, and it made one dizzy. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. In an instant, hundreds of terrifying monsters appeared in the distant void. They were completely blood-red, and seemed to be formed from countless lumps of minced meat. They squirmed constantly, and had noses, eyes, and ears. However, their shapes were different. Some were like tigers, some like leopards, some like octopuses, some like rhinoceroses, and so on. There were all sorts of strange shapes. However, all of these monsters exuded a terrifying murderous aura, as well as a terrifying power of resentment. This was a little similar to the abominations he had encountered in the demon god's relic. Right, these are abominations. Suddenly, Xiaoping had a flash of inspiration. He immediately recalled this matter from the top secret records of the human race. It seemed that these monsters were unique to the forbidden lands of darkness. These so-called abominations were the deathly aura, unwillingness, resentment, and rage that were condensed after the death of the gods. Coupled with the murderous aura of the universe, the power of the god's blood, and so on, after countless years, extremely terrifying monsters were born. These abominations could be said to be indestructible. They were difficult to kill and exterminate. Even if they were beaten to the point where only a single cell was left, they would rapidly regenerate. Because of this, these abominations were the most terrifying monsters in the forbidden lands of darkness. Even demigod powerhouses would have a huge headache if they encountered these monsters. Even though ordinary abominations could not kill demigod powerhouses, they could deplete the powers within demigod powerhouses' bodies. Once their powers were depleted, they would be like turtles in a jar. If a saint below the level of a demigod were to encounter these abominations, he would probably be in grave danger. It was very likely that he would be swarmed and torn apart in an instant. He would then be completely devoured. Interesting. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. He could sense that these abominations were a little different from the abominations he had encountered in the past. Abominations were filled with demonic nature, and they were extremely crazy, attempting to devour everything. However, abominations were different. They were not as crazy as abominations, but they were even more terrifying. This was because they possessed terrifying corrosive and toxic properties. Once they were infected by the blood of gods, ordinary life forms would die without a doubt. They would instantly become the puppets of the abominations. They would lose their rationality and become walking corpses. Therefore, one could not be injured when fighting against them. One had to attack from afar, or they would definitely die. Rumble. In an instant, the hundreds of abominations in the wilderness far away sensed the aura emitted from Xiaoping's body. They were like hunting dogs that had smelled the scent of their prey, and they immediately pounced over. Moreover, their speed was unbelievably fast. It was as if they had instantly melded into the void. Without a sound, they attacked from all directions. Ordinary demons from the abyss could not react at all. They would be killed and torn apart by these abominations in an instant. Chapter 2753. Courting Death. Seeing these abominations charging over, Xia Ping's eyes were emotionless. Back when he was weaker, he wasn't even afraid of these abominations. Now that he was at the immemorial ancient full realm, and was just a step away from the immemorial ancient realm, there was even less of a need for him to fear these abominations. Moreover, in this abyss forbidden ground, there was almost no power that could spy on him. He also didn't need to unleash his powers here, to let the other abyssal demons sense that something was wrong. It could be said that he could completely unleash the powers of his main body. Infernal Golden Crow Claw. Instantly, Xia Ping channeled the power of the Infernal Golden Crow bloodline in his body, and clawed towards these abominations. Boom! At this moment, the void within a radius of tens of millions of kilometers seemed to have frozen. Everything in this area was in a state of absolute stillness. Even these extremely terrifying abominations stopped for a moment. It was as though they were shackled in midair and couldn't move at all. Dong! In the next second the claw lashed out. It was as though the claw of an immemorial mythical bird had reached out from the depths of the void. It emitted a terrifying might that suppressed the surroundings and suppressed everything. At the same time, the crimson claw emitted the terrifying power of the infernal golden crow flames. Streaks of flames burst out and seemed to have the power to incinerate the void, incinerate everything, and destroy everything. Even the abominations felt waves of fear when they felt this destructive power. It was as though when these flames touched their bodies, even their souls and laws would be incinerated into nothingness. Unfortunately, even if they felt fear, it was too late. Under such a space-time shackle, they couldn't move at all and couldn't struggle at all. Bam! The claw slammed onto the bodies of these abominations. The terrifying power instantly smashed these abominations into dust. It was like a crushing machine that crushed all matter into dust. However, these were abominations after all. Even though their bodies were smashed into dust, they were still very active. They continued to squirm in the void, and it seemed as though they could return to their original state in a single breath's time. This was one of the terrifying characteristics of abominations. They were almost indestructible. Ordinary abyssal demons couldn't kill these abominations, even after expending a lot of energy. It was a pity that they met their nemesis today. The power of the infernal golden crow flames could incinerate almost everything. Even the abominations couldn't withstand the power of the infernal golden crow flames. Burn! Xia Ping gently squeezed his hand, and the infernal golden crow's power that was left on the abomination's body was instantly ignited. The enormous dark golden flames used the abomination's body as fuel and instantly burned. Ah! These abominations let out shrill screams at the same time. They were even more miserable than pigs being slaughtered. Every single cell in their bodies was being burned by the infernal golden crow's flames. In just a breath's time, these abominations that gave countless abyssal demons headaches were all burned to ashes in that instant. Not even their corpses were left. When all the abominations were killed, Xia Ping's figure flashed. His divine sense had sensed that there seemed to be something left on the abominations after he killed them. Even the hell golden crow fire could not burn these things in a short amount of time. This is a divine stone. Xia Ping narrowed his eyes. He immediately saw 20 to 30 fingernail-sized golden crystals lying quietly on the ground. They were hexagonal in shape and emitted a faint golden glow. At the same time, he could sense wisps of divine power from these divine stones. It was even divine power that came from the gods. It was extremely pure, and without any impurities. He realized that the infernal golden crow cells in his body were emitting a desire. It was as though they were attracted by the aura of these divine powers, and wanted nothing more than to devour all these divine stones. Unbelievable! Xia Ping waved his hand, and immediately picked up these divine stones. He scrutinized them carefully, He felt that just a fingernail-sized divine stone was comparable to the medicinal power of a sage herb. It was no wonder that the sages of the modern universe and the abyssal demons were so desperate for such a treasure. Oh my God, is this the legendary god stone? This is the first time I've seen such a treasure. Corinne also saw this scene and could not help but jump out. He looked at the divine stone in Xia Ping's hand in amazement. Even though he had lived for a long time, he had never seen a real divine stone. After all, divine stones were a special product born from the Forbidden Darkness Zone. They were basically in the hands of invincible sages. Even the ancient sages only had a few. The previous sages were too weak. How could they have seen divine stones? It's so beautiful. It's said that it contains the power of the blood of the gods, or a wisp of divine power. I wonder what will happen to the spirit herbs if they are used to grow them. The green ox also came out looking excited. As a grandmaster in growing spirit herbs, he immediately wanted to grind these divine stones and use them as fertilizer to grow sage herbs. What a waste of natural resources. Corinne disdainfully said, "What a bumpkin. This is a divine stone that contains divine blood or divine power. You actually want to use divine blood to grow sage herbs. Only you can think of it. I estimate that even in the previous universe era, the age of gods, they were not as extravagant as you. Hee hee, what do you know? You have never seen a divine stone. What's wrong with me using it to grow spirit herbs? Do you have any good way to make good use of divine stones?" The green ox went crazy with anger. Of course it's for me to evolve. After I swallow a lot of divine stones, maybe I can be promoted to a divine tool. Corinne said excitedly. Bullshit. Even if it's used to evolve into a divine tool, it's for me to evolve the classic of mountains and seas. Giving it to you is really a waste of natural resources. The green ox chuckled. He knew that this silly cat was up to no good. It turned out that she wanted to keep it for herself. If this silly cat really evolved into a divine tool, wouldn't it be showing off in front of him all day long, showing off its prowess? Thinking of this scene, he was so angry that he couldn't sleep. What's wrong? You're not convinced? Why don't we fight? Corinne cast a sidelong glance. Let's fight. Do you think I'm afraid of you? The green ox immediately flipped out. With his violent temper, he really couldn't tolerate this silly cat for even a second. Okay, you guys go back. It seems that there are abyssal demons coming. Xia Ping's heart moved. He seemed to have sensed something. In the distance, a terrifying abyssal demon's aura was flying over. He immediately pushed back Corinne and the green ox, who were planning to attack, and returned to the classic of mountains and seas world, lest these two guys cause trouble for him, and let other abyssal demons discover that something was wrong. Sogu website. Chapter 2754. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. In an instant, 15 immemorial realm demons flew over from afar. They seemed to have sensed the aura here, and were rushing over quickly. In just an instant, they descended in front of Xia Ping, unscrupulously displaying the power of the immemorial fiendish demons. They seemed to be able to crush the sky. Well, isn't this kid Flower Devil Austin? What a coincidence to meet this kid here. An immemorial fiendish demon immediately noticed Xia Ping in front of him. What happened to Flower Devil Austin had already spread across the square, and was known by countless immemorial fiendish demons. After all, Flower Devil Austin was pursued by so many powerful female immemorial fiendish demons. He even alarmed Great Elder Emoluan to uphold justice. Now, who didn't know this kid's reputation? Therefore, they immediately recognized Flower Devil Austin. I didn't expect this pretty boy to dare to participate in the grand competition of the Forbidden Abyss. He clearly isn't that strong. Is he here to die? An immemorial fiendish demon laughed. It didn't understand why this kid was so weak and dared to participate in the grand competition of the Forbidden Abyss. It was really a joke. I don't know. Maybe this kid has his own plans. He might even have a certain degree of confidence in leaving the Forbidden Abyss alive. Another immemorial fiendish demon narrowed its eyes and looked Xia Ping up and down. It seemed to be trying to find out what secrets Xia Ping had to dare to participate in the grand competition of the Forbidden Abyss. Wait, is the thing in this kid's hand a divine stone produced in the forbidden abyss? At this moment, an immemorial fiendish demon immediately noticed the divine stone in Xiaoping's hand. Its eyes immediately lit up with incomparable enthusiasm and excitement. It could feel the aura and majestic energy emitted by the divine stone. The abyssal demon bloodline in its body seemed to be boiling, and it couldn't wait to immediately devour the energy of the divine stone. In fact, the energy contained in the divine stone, whether it came from the abyss, hell, or all the creatures in the universe, had a great desire for God's blood. After all, this was the desire of lower creatures for higher creatures. It originated from the instinct of life evolution. That's right, this is indeed a God's stone. I was fortunate enough to see an Abyss King take out a God's stone. This is the legendary, or that contains the power of the gods. It's incomparably precious, and even if you have the money, you can't buy it. Basically, the Abyss Kings monopolize this resource, and other demons can't get it. It can't be. How could this kid have divine stones on him? He's just a pretty boy. No matter how favored he is, it's impossible for him to be given a treasure like divine stones. I can only say that this kid's luck is extremely good, the kind that can scare people to death. He probably found a pile of God's stones as soon as he came in. Other than that, there's no other explanation. Is your luck good? Now that he has met us, his luck might not be that good. That's right. If you want to obtain and possess treasures, you need strength. Without strength, even if you obtain the treasures, you won't be able to keep them. This isn't a treasure that a weak demon like him can obtain. Many primordial fiendish demons stared at Xiaoping with greed in their eyes. They wanted nothing more than to kill Xiaoping in an instant and snatch all the divine stones from him. Interesting. Are they trying to snatch the divine stones from me? Xiaoping sensed the thoughts of these primordial fiendish demons and instantly smiled. The reason why these primordial fiendish demons didn't attack immediately was probably because they were wary of each other. After all, it wasn't just one primordial fiendish demon who wanted the divine stones, but a total of 15 primordial fiendish demons. Every single one of them wanted the treasures for themselves. It was precisely because of these subtle thoughts that these primordial fiendish demons didn't choose to attack immediately. How dare they snatch our divine stones? Master, kill these demons immediately. No, it's best if you capture all of them and bring them back to the classic of mountains and seas as coolies. The green ox immediately shouted loudly. He was very angry. They actually dared to covet the treasures in their hands. This group of abyssal fiendish demons really didn't know how to write the word death. He had followed Xiaoping for such a long time. As his strength increased step by step, his vision were already different from the past. He didn't even need to care about the primordial fiendish demons anymore. Even if they encountered a super expert like the King of the Abyss, they could still escape easily if they used all their strength. They might even be able to fight for a few rounds. There's no hurry. It's just some divine stones. There should be a lot of them in this forbidden abyss. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. Thinking of this, he waved the divine stones in his hand, and instantly threw them into the hands of the strongest scarlet-haired primordial fiendish demon. There was no hesitation or sloppiness in his actions. Instantly, the scarlet-haired primordial fiendish demon was a little dumbfounded. It hadn't even spoken yet, but this flower demon, Austin, had actually handed over all the divine stones on him. This was the first time in its life that it had encountered such a situation. Subconsciously, it took the divine stones with its large hands. What are you trying to do? The scarlet-haired primordial fiendish demon was a little dumbfounded. Demon Commander, as the saying goes, a wise man submits to circumstances. I believe that I'm weak and don't have the qualifications to obtain these divine stones. Therefore, I'm giving them all to you. I hope that you'll accept them. After all, only a powerful demon like you is qualified to monopolize all the divine stones. Other demons don't have such qualifications. Xiaoping smiled slightly, indicating that this was a gift that he was giving to the other party. At the same time, he activated the illusion domain within his body, affecting the emotions of the scarlet-haired primordial demon. Although this kind of power wasn't enough to completely cause the primordial demon to fall into the illusion, it was still enough. However, the power of this smell and the power of illusion could infinitely magnify the other party's desire. Hearing that, the scarlet-haired primordial fiendish demon roared with laughter, pleased by the flattery. Not bad, kid. Not bad at all. You can actually tell that I'm the strongest fiendish demon here. At least you know your place. If you were one step slower, I'm afraid I would have killed you with my own hands. It clenched its fists and displayed the boundless power within its body, showing that it was indeed the strongest among this group of primordial demons. Before Xia Ping could say anything, a blue-haired primordial fiendish demon next to him narrowed his eyes and said, Abbot, don't you think that's a little inappropriate? There are so many godstones here. Are you planning on hogging them all for yourself? That's right. There are so many divine stones here. With so many primordial fiendish demons here, we should split them evenly. That's right, Albert. Did you ask us if you want to take everything for yourself? As the saying goes, everyone gets a share. There's no reason for you to get all the benefits, while we don't even get a fart. What kind of joke is this? The group of primordial fiendish demons glared at the scarlet-haired primordial fiendish demon with murderous intent. They had already shifted their attention to the scarlet-haired primordial fiendish demon, Abbot. They were completely uninterested in Xia Ping. After all, in their eyes, Xia Ping was just a weak little fiendish demon that wasn't worth mentioning. Sogu website. Chapter 2755. Under normal circumstances, the crimson-haired primordial demon Abbot might hesitate and split the divine stones evenly. However, under the control of Xia Ping's illusion domain, his greed was magnified. Coupled with the charm of the divine stones, he had lost all reason. In short, he had lost his mind. Shut up! The crimson-haired primordial demon Abbot bellowed. Didn't you hear? These divine stones were given to me by this brat, and he only gave them to the strongest demon. You pieces of trash, you didn't even do anything. You want to rob me of my divine stones with just a few words? You want to split my treasures? What a joke. Do you think you're qualified? That's right. You want to snatch the treasures of other demons with just a few words? If you're so noble, why don't you split your own treasures? These guys are clearly trying to take advantage of us. Xia Ping fanned the flames. Upon hearing this, the crimson-haired primordial demon Abbot was in deep thought. He increasingly felt that these primordial demons were crazy. They clearly wanted to split his treasures, but they didn't even want to do anything. Albert, have you forgotten about the alliance we've formed? We will split the treasures we obtain equally. Are you going back on your word? A blue-haired primordial demon Abbot bellowed. I'm not going back on my word. You are the ones going back on your word. We signed a contract where the more work, the more rewards. Whoever puts in more effort gets the most treasures. And now you haven't done anything. What right do you have to snatch my divine stones? What a joke. Don't push your luck. The crimson-haired primordial demon Abbot sneered. He believed that he wasn't wrong. Abbot, since that's the case, there's no need for further discussion. You're actually going against us for divine stones. You're courting death. Don't think that you can take all the benefits just because you're slightly stronger than us. Without our help, you'll die in the forbidden abyss. You won't be able to keep these divine stones. These primordial demons were filled with killing intent. They couldn't possibly give up on these divine stones, because if they devoured even one, their strength would increase tremendously. Now that so many divine stones had been obtained by the crimson-haired primordial fiendish demon Albert, if he were to devour all of them, it would be unimaginable how strong Albert would become. Therefore, no matter what, they would absolutely not allow this fellow to monopolize the God's Stone, because the benefits of the God's Stone were simply too great, and none of them were willing to give it up. Fools! You want to strut around in front of me, Albert? Trash like you are far too lacking. All of you die. In an instant, the crimson-haired primordial fiendish demon Albert roared angrily. He took out a 3-zhonglong crimson spear from his body. His hair stood on end as a terrifying world domain aura erupted from his body. The scarlet spear was an abyssal treasure. Its power was no less than a high-quality saint artifact of the human race. It even possessed the demonic power and corrosive power of the abyssal world. Its destructive power was even more terrifying. Boom! In an instant, the scarlet-haired primordial fiendish demon's spear shot out at lightning speed and instantly pierced through a primordial fiendish demon that was close to it. That primordial fiendish demon was caught off guard. He completely did not expect Albert to be so deranged. He did not even bother talking nonsense with it, and directly stabbed it to death with his spear. Destructive waves erupted from the scarlet spear. Just like a god-slaying spear, the primordial fiendish demon's soul was instantly pulverized. Even its body was shaken into a lump of flesh and blood and exploded. Albert, you actually dared to turn against us. You're courting death. You're courting death. Albert has gone completely mad. Kill this fellow. Kill him. The primordial fiendish demons were instantly enraged. How could they have expected something like this to happen? They had not been in for long, and one of their companions had already been stabbed to death. They also did not hesitate to attack. Bam! 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 In an instant, the 14 primordial fiendish demons started fighting. They immediately unleashed the world domains within their bodies. One after another, world projections appeared and bombarded each other. The worlds collided violently, and the void within a radius of tens of billions of kilometers erupted with terrifying tremors. Terrifying void ripples were produced as void cracks burst out. Terrifying void storms were produced in all directions, sweeping through the 9 heavens and 10 earths. The ground was instantly blasted apart, and huge craters appeared one after another with loud rumbling sounds. The power of countless laws collided with each other, producing terrifying destructive power. If an ordinary sage were to be swept into the center of this storm, they would probably be torn apart by the power of laws and die without a complete corpse. Swoosh! At this moment Xiaoping was silent. His figure flickered, and he instantly left the center of the battle. He had long stayed away from the battle between these primordial fiendish demons, and at this time, those primordial fiendish demons had long forgotten that Xiaoping was the instigator of this place. They were practically fighting with all their might, wanting nothing more than to kill each other. Have these demons completely gone mad? Seeing this scene, Corinne was a little dumbfounded. With just a few words, these primordial fiendish demons actually started fighting among themselves, and even their brains were spilling out. They're not crazy. This is the effect of the power of illusion. Xiaoping touched his chin, and a glimmer of light flashed in his eyes. At this moment, his understanding of the power of illusion had also advanced to another level. After reaching the supreme realm of one thought to give birth to myriad worlds, his understanding of illusion had simply advanced by leaps and bounds. It seemed that he had entered a period of rapid progress. Previously, he had only manipulated the 5 and even the 6 senses, using the power to blind the 6 senses of life, to confuse the lives of the various worlds in the universe, causing the other party to fall into an endless world of illusion. But at this moment, he discovered that the power of illusion was not just that. In fact, it had gone one step further, and it should be the power to manipulate emotions. By magnifying the emotions of all living beings, he could easily reach the realm of manipulating life. For example, fear. Mild fear would cause people to be afraid, severe fear would cause people to flee, and extreme fear would cause people to go crazy and fall into a state of hysteria. Another example was greed. Ordinary greed would cause people to forget about danger. Severe greed would cause people to forget everything. But extreme greed would cause people to disregard everything. If every emotion was magnified to the extreme, it would lead to destruction, no matter what kind of life it was. The reason why such a thing happened just now was not only because Xiaoping had sowed dissension, but also because he had manipulated the emotions of these primordial fiendish demons, causing their greed to be magnified without limit. This was like a fuse that instantly made them turn against each other, and they were simply unable to resist it. They even thought that this was what they wanted to do, and never thought that they would be manipulated by someone. Sogu Reading Website. Chapter 2756. The Power to Control Emotions, or the Power to Control the 7 Emotions and 6 Emotions. Xiaoping seemed to be in a state of epiphany. He felt that his understanding of illusions had reached a new level. If he wanted to make illusions more realistic, he had to manipulate the emotions of the living beings in the myriad worlds. In fact, just the memories, the 5 senses, the history, and the environment were far from enough for an illusionary world. Every living being had their own emotions, be it joy, anger, sadness, jealousy, or inferiority. Every living being had a stomachache. Without mastering the power of emotions, how could he improve his illusions to the next level? At this moment, he also knew how he should improve his illusions. If he wanted to improve further, he had to devour the power of emotions of many living beings. By fusing the power of emotions into the illusion, his illusion god art would reach a new level and reach an unprecedented level. Wait, is this the power of emotions or the power of emotions? Xiaoping's sea of consciousness shook vaguely. He operated the true explanation of illusions, and countless illusion runes appeared in the depths of his pupils. Through this power, he seemed to sense all kinds of strong emotional powers in the depths of the void. The power of lust. These powers were illusory. Ordinary saints could not sense them, and could not even devour them. However, they were everywhere and extremely huge. As long as there were living beings, there would be the power of lust. Indistinctly colorful emotional lines appeared in the depths of the void. They were everywhere. If he wanted to improve his illusions, he had to use the lust of living beings as his foundation, and feed on their emotions. Only then could his illusions reach the highest level. The power of emotions of the 14 immemorial fiendish demons was even greater. It was many times greater than that of ordinary living beings. It was almost impossible to measure it with numbers. After all, the more powerful a living being was, the more powerful the power of emotions they possessed would be. Xiaoping merely stood where he was. With his body as the center, there seemed to be a whirlpool. The omnipresent power of emotions crazily surged toward his body. In the center of his sea of consciousness, an illusion rune appeared. This was the divine ability seed condensed by the true explanation of illusions. It was the foundation of all his illusions. This illusion talisman shone with 7 colors, and was filled with an illusory aura. However, if one used his divine sense to penetrate it, he would immediately perceive that there were dense and mysterious runes in the depths of this talisman. It was as if a supreme scripture was engraved on this talisman, dissecting the endless mysteries of illusions. As the immense power of emotions surged over, it was completely devoured by the illusion talisman. Meanwhile, the power of the illusion talisman was rapidly increasing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Vaguely, the interior of the talisman seemed to have transformed into a massive illusory world. As the power of these emotions entered it, it quickly transformed into countless lives. At this moment, the illusion talisman seemed to have transformed into an illusory world. It was as if countless false lives were being born, and they all seemed to have their own emotions. The power to devour all beings? Xiaoping's eyes lit up. He suddenly thought of the legendary Lord of Hell, the god of the underworld who controlled the entire hell. In order to rule over hell, he divided the countless hellish worlds. However, these hellish worlds were not randomly divided. There was the hell of wrath, the hell of pride, the hell of greed, the hell of sloth, the hell of sigh, the hell of gluttony, and so on. Countless nether ghosts, evil spirits, demons, and so on lived in these hellish worlds. Each hellish world was filled with extreme emotions, extreme evil, and incomparably pure. From a certain point of view, this was most likely the result of the Lord of Hell using the hell power of countless nether ghosts and demons as food to forge his supreme god of the underworld body and become the strongest demon god. Dong! At this moment, Xiaoping's body trembled. He discovered that his current realm of illusions had improved. He had reached the intermediate realm of one thought to give birth to myriad worlds. He had already left the elementary realm. Previously, he could only instantly create 10 illusory worlds. But now, he could create 100 illusory worlds with a single thought. His illusions had increased tenfold. This is an illusory seed, an illusory talisman? Xiaoping's divine sense was immersed in this illusory seed. He could sense that if this illusory talisman continued to evolve, the space inside would undergo earth-shattering changes. Perhaps this illusory talisman would transform into a godhead and grasp the power of a true god. He could instinctively sense how tyrannical this ability was. It would definitely become one of his trump cards in the future. The potential of such an ability was simply unimaginable. Huh? So fast. Are these primordial fiendish demons about to die? At this moment, Xiaoping instantly broke away from this illusory comprehension. His divine sense covered the void in all directions, allowing him to see the situation around him. Although it seemed like only a moment had passed while he was comprehending, in reality, this was just his perception. Half a day had passed in the outside world. In just half a day, the 15 primordial fiendish demons fought with all their might. The area within a radius of hundreds of millions of kilometers collapsed, and the void almost exploded. That primordial fiendish demon Albert was outnumbered. In just an hour, he was beaten to death. The other primordial fiendish demons divided up his treasures and divine stones. But this was just the beginning. Later, they couldn't divide the spoils evenly and internal strife broke out. They fought each other to the death. In just half a day they almost perished together. Only 3 primordial fiendish demons were left alive. The other primordial fiendish demons were killed by the other primordial fiendish demons in the internal strife. Even if there were 3 primordial fiendish demons left alive, they were seriously injured and almost at their last gasp. The illusory ability is really terrifying. When Azure Ox and Corinne saw this scene, both of them sighed with lingering fear. Just now there were 15 primordial fiendish demons. If they wanted to deal with them, they would have to spend a lot of effort. But now, Xiaoping just used an illusory technique to arouse the emotions of these primordial fiendish demons. It actually achieved the effect of defeating 1,000 caddies with little effort, causing these primordial fiendish demons to have internal strife and kill each other. As a result, almost all of the 15 primordial fiendish demons died, leaving only 2 or 3 primordial fiendish demons. Even if Azure Ox and Corinne were experienced and knowledgeable, they were still shocked by this ability, because this ability was not only powerful, but also extremely strange. It was silent and almost difficult to detect. Even if they were plotted against, it would be difficult for other sages to know. This was the terrifying part of this ability. Chapter 2757. Just then, Xiaoping stopped hiding as well. His figure flashed, and he walked out of the void, appearing in front of the remaining 3 primordial fiendish demons. What? Initially, the 3 primordial fiendish demons were on guard against each other. They were panting heavily, guarding against any sneak attacks. But now that another fiendish demon had appeared, they were truly shocked. But when they saw Xiaoping's figure, their pupils constricted as they recognized Xiaoping's identity immediately. Flower Demon Austin. The 3 primordial fiendish demons glared at Xiaoping and gritted their teeth. Their voices were filled with endless hatred. If not for this lad, they would have been an extremely united group. But after meeting this lad, just because he handed over a pile of God's stones, it caused their small group to have an internal strife, killing each other endlessly. By now, most of the primordial fiendish demons around them had died, leaving only the 3 of them. If not for this Flower Demon Austin, they wouldn't have ended up in such a miserable state. In fact, they could vaguely sense that something was amiss. It's been hard on you guys to experiment for such a long time. I'll send you guys back to the abyss in a while. Don't worry, it'll be quick. It'll just take an instant. Xiaoping looked at the 3 primordial fiendish demons calmly. It's you. It's really you, you bastard. Damned Flower Demon Austin. What did you do to us earlier on? One of the primordial fiendish demons hollered. He wasn't a fool either. After all, no matter how greedy they were, there was a limit. If they were to suffer a certain loss, they would regain their rationality and choose to stop. But that wasn't the case earlier on. They didn't stop even after killing each other. If not for the fact that they were affected by the enemy's sorcery, this wouldn't have happened. It doesn't matter what you did. What's important is that you guys no longer have the right to speak loudly in front of me. Xiaoping said. You ant-like flower demon. Do you think that we can't kill you just because we're injured? What a joke. Even if I'm severely injured, it's still a piece of cake for me to crush a puny flower demon like you. One of the primordial fiendish demons hollered. With a boom, it burst out from where it was and blasted a punch towards Xiaoping. It was as if the boundless destructive power of a world had erupted from its body. Its fist also covered a world domain, crushing over and shattering the vacuum. Even though it was heavily injured, it was still an immemorial demon that understood the laws of the world. The power it could unleash was no small matter. It was not something an immortal demon could compare to. Sometimes, an injured beast was even scarier. However, they weren't facing undying demons, but rather saints who had already reached the peak of the ancient times. Even if they were at their peak, Xiaoping could still beat them to death. Not to mention the severely injured primordial fiendish demons that only had a few of them left. Dong! Xiaoping stood where he was and gently stretched out his right hand. In an instant, he pinched the primordial demon's fist. It was as though all the strength was swallowed up by his palm, and all the strength turned into nothingness. How is this possible? The primordial fiendish demon's eyes widened in disbelief. After all, it was an immemorial fiendish demon. Even if it was a heavily injured attack, it should be able to easily shatter the body of an immortal demon. However, Austin the flower demon had easily blocked its fist that contained the laws of the world. It had never encountered such a thing before. Nothing is impossible. Who told you that I'm an immortal demon? Xiaoping gently clenched his fist. Boundless dermic powers erupted from his body, forming a terrifying domain. In an instant, the primordial fiendish demon's body was wrapped up, forming a sphere and compressing it inwards. Boom! In the next second, the primordial fiendish demon did not even have the chance to scream. In an instant, it was smashed into a ball of flesh and blood. Even its soul was crushed into bits. With just a gentle shake, the primordial fiendish demon exploded like a watermelon. At this moment, the surging dermic powers in Xiaoping's body could be said to be boundless. It was no longer something an ordinary primordial fiendish demon could compare with. He was probably infinitely close to a demigod expert. Just by using the boundless dermic powers in his body, he could easily crush an primordial fiendish demon. Flower demon Austin, you're not an immortal demon. The remaining two primordial fiendish demons narrowed their eyes and let out a sharp glint. Instantly they came to their senses. At this moment, they could clearly tell that this flower demon Austin was not an immortal demon. The strength of this lad was far beyond their imagination. If this wasn't the case, how could their companion be crushed so easily? Based on their senses, this lad should have at least reached the immemorial ancient state, or even the immemorial ancient state. Despicable fella. To think that you would hide your strength. What are you plotting? What are you trying to do? Shameless flower demon. How dare you commit such despicable acts? Pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. Do you still have any dignity as a demon? The two primordial fiendish demons could not believe that the flower demon, Austin, was already a match for them. This was just like a rabbit suddenly growing into an elephant. Even now they could not accept this fact. If they had known of this earlier, they would definitely have joined forces to kill this lad. It wouldn't be too late to split the spoils after that. But it was a pity that they had suffered countless casualties from their internal strife. Not only that, they were severely injured as well. They no longer had the strength to deal with this flower demon Austin. Dignity. Strength is the true dignity of a demon. Do you guys know why you lost? It's because of your arrogance. Xiaoping looked at the two primordial fiendish demons calmly. A horrifying power of creation shrouded the void in all directions. It was as though the realm of creation was binding these two primordial fiendish demons. The omnipresent power of creation was changing the physical world and permeating through the void. Run! Instantly, the hairs on the two primordial fiendish demons stood up. They could feel a lethal killing intent. They exchanged glances and split off in two directions, trying to escape. But the moment they made their move, Xiaoping struck out. Fast as lightning, he punched out with a fist that contained a boundless amount of power that could break through the void. Bam! At this moment, the bodies of the two primordial fiendish demons exploded with a single punch from Xiaoping. Their bodies were like watermelons that were smashed into smithereens. Their flesh and blood scattered all over the ground as though they were worthless. The dozens of god stones that they had snatched away earlier on fell onto the ground and returned to Xiaoping's hands once more. At this moment, all 15 primordial fiendish demons had died tragically in this place. Not a single one of them could leave this place alive. Xing xing xing. Xiaoping waved his hand and scooped up the flesh and blood of these primordial fiendish demons for the world tree to devour. Chapter 2758. Come out. At this moment, Xiaoping glanced sideways and spoke to an empty space in the distance. He had already seen the demons hiding in the depths of the void there. However, they did not attack him, so he could not be bothered. Now that he had dealt with the primordial fiendish demons, he needed to deal with the surrounding witnesses. After all, he could not reveal his strength for the time being and let the other abyssal demons know. Still not coming out? Do you think your concealment ability is strong enough? Or do you think I'm bluffing? Xiaoping raised his eyebrows and punched the void. Boom. This punch was extremely terrifying and contained the power of creation. It instantly changed the laws of space and time in the surroundings. The void in front of him shattered like glass and completely shattered. With a crack, 3 or 4 figures appeared in the distance. Xiaoping also recognized the abyssal demons. They were the dark spider demon Catherine, the white-faced fox demon, the succubus, the scarlet scorpion demon, and the other abyssal demonesses. He did not know when they had gathered together, but they had actually come to his side. Austin, you actually discovered our whereabouts? Catherine, the dark spider demon, was taken aback. She looked at Xiaoping in disbelief. According to her understanding, flower demon Austin shouldn't have such strength. However, this was not the case. Not only had he killed 3 primordial fiendish demons with one punch, but he had also used schemes and strange abilities to kill the other 12 primordial fiendish demons. He could even easily discover their existence. One had to know that she was the dark spider demon Catherine. She was born with the mystique of the darkness realm and could easily merge her body and aura into the depths of the void. Once she used the darkness realm and merged into the abyssal void, even an abyssal king would find it difficult to discover her traces. However, the flower demon Austin had easily discovered her. It seemed that her darkness realm could not hide from him at all. She felt that Austin had completely changed. He was completely different from the Austin that she knew. It was as if he was a different demon. Of course I found out. No abyssal demon can hide from me. Xiaoping stood with his hands behind his back and said matter-of-factly, Austin, when did you become so powerful? 15 immemorial fiendish demons were fooled by you and died so easily. This is definitely not the strength of an ordinary flower demon. Just when did you obtain such powerful strength? Or were you hiding it from all the fiendish demons? Are you really this powerful? The white-faced fox fiend was extremely curious. From what she knew, flower demon Austin shouldn't have such power. He was just a pretty boy, a weak little fiendish demon that people loved. But now it was completely different. His body exuded an unprecedentedly powerful abyssal devil chi. He had the demeanor of a king, and he was not the slightest bit inferior to the abyssal kings. This kind of domineering and arrogant aura also made her heart beat endlessly. It had an extraordinary charm. No, he shouldn't be the flower devil Austin. He should be another demon from the abyss. Who are you? Why are you pretending to be the flower devil Austin? Where did the real flower devil Austin go? The succubus narrowed her eyes and stared at Xiaoping. She began to doubt Xiaoping's true identity, because in her memories, the real flower devil Austin definitely did not have such strength. Therefore, the only explanation was that this was a fake flower devil Austin. Interesting. If he's fake, how did he hide from the sole inspection of the devil demon palace? Even an abyssal king can't hide from such inspection. The Scarlet Scorpion Demon stared at Xiaoping curiously. What a bunch of troublesome women. I didn't want to do anything to you at first, but I didn't expect all of you to be so smart. Don't you know that curiosity killed the cat? Xiaoping looked at the group of abyssal demonesses helplessly. Interesting. Does Austin want to fight us? This is really interesting. I never thought that Austin would dare to have such thoughts. Don't tell me you think we're the same as those trash from before? Do you want to use your little tricks against us? Let me tell you, it's useless. Austin, it doesn't matter if you're the real Austin or a fake Austin. If I don't teach you a lesson, you won't know who the boss of the abyss is. Hearing this, the dark spider demon Catherine and the other abyssal demonesses immediately laughed. They did not think that Flower Devil Austin was a match for them. Even if he had hidden his strength, it was still impossible for him to defeat them. Moreover, the reason why Austin was able to win previously was purely because he used schemes and tricks. If he had not used tricks to cause the 15 primordial fiendish demons to kill each other, causing them to kill themselves, and the remaining 3 to be seriously injured, Austin would definitely not have won. In a head-on battle, they did not think that Flower Devil Austin had any chance of winning. Women, you're too arrogant. Xiaoping looked at the group of abyssal demonesses calmly. Boom. In an instant, a huge illusory power exploded from his body. He used the power of the true insight of illusion. One illusory world after another condensed and instantly enveloped the abyssal demonesses. Moreover, the casting speed of the illusory art was far faster than other spells. It could be done with just a thought. This speed was even faster than the speed of light. What? The dark spider demon Catherine and the other abyssal demonesses were shocked. They instantly felt a huge illusory power seeping into their souls. It seemed like it wanted to pull them into the illusory world and sink them completely. Funny Austin, you think you can deal with us with mere illusory power? You're underestimating us. The dark spider demon Catherine sneered. She immediately wanted to use abyssal power in an attempt to shatter the illusory world and break free from it. But this was just the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4. 20 illusory worlds crushed down at the same time. In an instant, the dark spider demon Catherine was completely sealed. As for the other abyssal demonesses, such as the white-faced fox demon, succubus demon, scarlet scorpion demon, and so on, they were easily suppressed and sealed by just 18, 17, or 15 illusory worlds. They were instantly dumbfounded. They could not move at all. Their surroundings were sealed by countless illusory runes. They could not use any abyssal power in their bodies. They fell into a deep sleep and could not discover what was happening in the outside world. Interesting. Just 20 illusory worlds and they can't resist it? Xiaoping stood with his hands behind his back. He looked calmly at the dark spider demon Catherine and the other abyssal demonesses who had fallen into the illusory world. Chapter 2759. One should know that Xiaoping's power of illusion had reached a new realm. With a single thought, he could cast up to 100 illusory worlds. This was equivalent to 100 layers of illusory seals. If he used his full power, 100 illusory worlds would stack up at the same time and seal layer by layer. Even a demon that had just entered the demigod realm would faint for a moment, let alone other abyssal demons of other levels. For abyssal demons below the immemorial ancient realm, one illusory world would be enough to make them sink into oblivion for eternity. As for the dark spider demon Catherine and the other demonesses, the fact that they could withstand 20 illusory world seals was enough to prove that they were indeed very strong and far surpassed other abyssal demons. If not for that, they definitely wouldn't be able to withstand such a powerful illusory power. But even so, they were completely sealed by Xiaoping. If Xiaoping wasn't willing, they probably wouldn't be able to walk out of the illusory world, even after billions of years. If someone used their consciousness power, they would be able to sense that there were 10 to 20 layers of illusory seals in the depths of their consciousness. Each layer of illusory seals was an illusory world. Such illusory worlds were layered on top of one another. It was extremely complicated and formed a cycle. The power of illusion is really powerful. Xiaoping was filled with emotions. Just now, he was just testing his skills. To think that he could easily seal these demonesses, who had reached the pinnacle of the immemorial ancient realm. If he were to use other martial path mystiques, he would probably need to use his fists and legs. But the power of illusion was different. Whether it succeeded or not depended on a single thought. In the time it took for a spark to fly off a flint, the victor would be decided. If he could block it, he would live. If he couldn't, he would die. This was an extremely fast and efficient mystique. Of course, at the same time, the risk was extremely high. If he couldn't control the other party, he would probably be devoured. Luckily, Xiaoping wasn't a pure illusionist. In fact, he was still a martial artist. If illusions didn't work, he could still use his fists to fight. This was much better than ordinary illusionists. This bunch of demonesses is really troublesome. It doesn't seem good to kill them. Forget it. I'll capture them all and bring them back to the classic of mountains and seas world as coolies. This is the price you have to pay for being too curious. Xiaoping stroked his chin and waved his hand. With a swoosh, he instantly captured the dark spider demon Catherine and the other demonesses and imprisoned them in the world of the classic of mountains and seas. In this way, there were no other witnesses around, and his identity could be kept a secret for the time being. Whoosh! After doing this, Xiaoping's figure flashed, and he quickly left the battlefield. After all, with so many primordial fiendish demons fighting here, the destruction caused would definitely attract the attention of other primordial fiendish demons. If he continued to stay in this place, he was afraid that he would be discovered by other primordial fiendish demons that were rushing over. He did not want to meet other primordial fiendish demons for now. No matter what, his biggest goal at the moment was to explore the secrets of the abyss world, not to destroy these primordial fiendish demons. Of course, if this group of primordial fiendish demons didn't have any eyes, it wouldn't be a problem for them to kill them along the way. In the blink of an eye, Xiaoping's figure quickly disappeared from this place. Not long after Xiaoping left this place, dozens of primordial fiendish demons immediately flew over from afar. They had all sensed the fluctuations of the battle here, and rushed over curiously to see what was going on. Indeed, there was a battle between 15 primordial fiendish demons here, and it was extremely tragic. It was the kind that would not stop until one of them died. A hound primordial fiendish demon's nose twitched slightly as it smelled the scent that filled the depths of the void. It seemed as though it could sense countless things that had happened in the past just by smelling it. What exactly caused such a tragic battle between them? Could it be to snatch treasures? A fiendish demon asked. That's right. They seem to be fighting amongst themselves for the divine stones obtained in this place. The hound primordial fiendish demon said in a low voice. I see. Many primordial fiendish demons nodded. Although they were currently living in the abyss continent that was filled with order, as fiendish demons, their aggressive blood had not disappeared. Once they broke away from order, they would fight in a frenzy, killing each other for the sake of treasures? That was really too child's play. Before the demon lord appeared, such things happen every day in the abyss world. In that case, who is the winner? A fiendish demon asked. There's no winner. They're all dead. The hound primordial fiendish demon said. What? All the primordial fiendish demons present were taken aback. This was a little strange. Even if they were fighting for treasures, there should be a winner. Not only was there no winner, but the corpses of the 15 primordial fiendish demons had also disappeared. It seems like there's a third fiendish demon that's reaping the benefits. A primordial fiendish demon said thoughtfully. There's indeed a third fiendish demon. Moreover, it's extremely cunning. I can't sense any aura from it, so I can't tell its identity. The hound primordial fiendish demon shook its head, indicating that even with its bloodline mystique, it couldn't figure out its identity. That fiendish demon that was reaping the benefits was simply too cunning. There might even be a fourth fiendish demon. The hound primordial fiendish demon added. It could also sense the aura of the dark spider demon, Catherine, and the other female fiendish demons. However, it was just a little, and it couldn't confirm their identities. It's just a few divine stones, yet they're causing so many factions to fight each other to the death. This is a muddy water, let's not get involved. Since that's the case, let's go. There's no need to continue staying here. A primordial fiendish demon spoke. He seemed to be the leader of this group of primordial fiendish demons. All right. The other primordial fiendish demons nodded, because this was a very normal thing in the Forbidden Abyss. This was a competition in the Forbidden Abyss, and there was no prohibition against killing each other. If he died in this place, he wouldn't be held accountable. Instead, it was a matter of course. Moreover, a dead immemorial fiendish demon was of no value to them. They did not know the other party, and were not familiar with those immemorial fiendish demons. There was no need to take revenge for such an unfamiliar immemorial fiendish demon. Of course, if they could find the primordial fiendish demon that had profited from the fight, they might even make a move to snatch the treasures of the primordial fiendish demon and eliminate the other party from the Forbidden Abyss. However, they couldn't even find the other party's identity or aura, so there was no need for them to stay here any longer. After all, the most important thing in entering the Forbidden Abyss was to find the treasures inside. They didn't have much time to waste here. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. With that, these abyssal fiendish demons rapidly left this place. Sogu website. Chapter 2760. In a secluded mountain in the Forbidden Abyss. Xiaoping was currently hiding in this place. He had entered the world of the classic of mountains and seas, and was temporarily cultivating in seclusion. Although the grand competition of the Forbidden Abyss had only been going on for 3 months, he had not entered the grand competition of the Forbidden Abyss to get a high ranking. He only wanted to explore the secrets of the abyss. Therefore, he did not need to be like the other abyssal demons, who risked their lives to plunder treasures everywhere just to improve their ranking. Moreover, if he wanted to discover more secrets, he would probably need more power. Therefore, after obtaining these godstones, Xiaoping wanted to use them to increase his own power. Boom! Xiaoping sat cross-legged on the ground. With his body as the center, a domineering domain of creation spread out in all directions. It was filled with the laws of space, time, and creation. The power of many laws constantly circulated in the domain, constantly producing a domineering power of creation that changed the physical world. Godstones. Without another word, Xiaoping immediately used his magic power to refine the godstones. Immediately, the godstones were incinerated by the crucible of hell. They quickly turned into majestic energy that surged into his body and into every cell. Whoosh! In an instant, after obtaining the power of the godstones, his cultivation rose at a geometrical rate. It was as if every cell was filled with majestic magic power. Most importantly, the creation domain on his body had also begun to undergo a series of transformations. The laws of space, time, and creation continued to revolve. Vaguely, they seemed to create a huge crystal wall, causing the domain of creation to form a spatial barrier. These spatial crystal walls were the precondition for the birth of the laws of the world. It was as if at this moment, Xiaoping's domain of creation had begun to transform into a domain of the world, condensing the laws of the world. If he really succeeded in condensing the laws of the world and stepped into the Archean realm, then Xiaoping's strength would immediately undergo earth-shattering changes. His power would also increase by thousands of times. At that time, every inch of his flesh and every cell would evolve into a miniature world, and his body would be tempered to an extremely powerful level. At this level, every single cell in his body would be a miniature world. If he were to activate it with all his might, the magic power of billions of worlds would explode at the same time. The power of the explosion could be imagined. In fact, this was the terror of an Archean saint who had comprehended the laws of the world. A saint of this realm was much, much stronger than a creation saint. Just the changes that happened to their bodies, and the amount of magic power they could store were far beyond what a creator saint could compare to. Of course, ancient sages didn't just have powers that far surpassed ancient sages. Most importantly, they had condensed the laws of the world, so they had the power of the world. If he used his own world force to power the saint artifact, he would be able to unleash 70% to 80% of the Saint Artifact's battle prowess. The destructive power that could be unleashed was no laughing matter. In fact, if a Supreme Saint Artifact were to be powered by the power of the world, the might that it could exert would far surpass that of the ancient sages. If Xia Ping advanced to the primordial realm and condensed the power of a world, his peerless sacred artifacts, the classic of mountains and seas, the formless palace, and the primordial heavenly dragon talisman, would be able to exhibit strength several times stronger than before. In fact, when he was using the god weapons, he would be able to use them with even greater ease. This was a qualitative change and improvement. To begin with, Xia Ping had already advanced to the immemorial ancient full cultivation state and had comprehended the laws of creation completely. The foundation of his body was extremely sturdy, and he already had the foundation to advance to the primordial realm. I'll give it a try to advance to the primordial realm then. Xia Ping's eyes shone with a glint. In truth, he really wanted to advance to the primordial realm right now, so that his creation territory could metamorphose into a world territory and condense the laws of the world. If he were to condense the laws of the world and deploy the world territory, every single move he made would be filled with the terrifying power of the world. A single punch would be enough to destroy a large world in an instant. More importantly, when the world territory shrouded down, he could suppress other sages with ease, trapping them within his own large world. Even if he were to use 100% of his strength, under the suppression of the world territory, he would only be left with 50%. Therefore, the outcome was as one could imagine. Under the power of the world territory, the sages who had condensed the laws of the world were practically undefeatable. Of course, the power of the world was also much stronger than the power of creation. It could crush the power of creation with ease. The difference between the two was like cotton and steel. They could not be mentioned in the same breath. Basically, without the support of an extremely powerful saint weapon, it was impossible for the ancient sages to win against the primordial sages. They would definitely be killed instantly by the primordial sages. After all, a freak of the world like Xia Ping was a monster that would not appear even once in a trillion epochs. He would not appear in the universe so casually and simply. Most of the ancient sages could only flee when they encountered the primordial sages, not daring to fight back at all. Let's begin. At this moment, Xia Ping circulated the creation territory on his body and sat within it. It was as if he was a pillar that held up the heavens, supporting the world. Boom! In an instant, the entire creation territory shook violently and buzzed. It was as if it was vibrating at a rate of trillions of times. Countless laws began to circulate wildly. Space laws, time laws, creation laws, undying qi, and all sorts of other powers entangled together, forming a whirlpool. It was as if there were trillions of changes in the void laws. It was filled with endless mysteries of the laws, symbolizing the laws of everything in the universe. As the laws of the creation territory began to circulate, the massive amount of origin energy within his body began to be consumed rapidly. It was as if it was disappearing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Every time Xia Ping circulated the laws on his body, the amount of origin energy consumed was staggering. This amount of energy was enough to support the operation of a large world for several years. It could be said that the amount of energy consumed each time it circulated was astronomical. It was a little like a space battleship. Just by activating it once, the amount of money consumed was unimaginable. If it wasn't a universe kingdom, it would be hard for them to withstand such consumption. It was the same logic. The amount of origin energy needed to advance from the immemorial ancient realm to the immemorial ancient realm was simply unimaginable. In reality, even if one were to attempt to break through to the immemorial ancient realm, the amount of origin energy needed was astronomical. Therefore, ordinary immemorial sages would basically not attempt to break through to the immemorial ancient realm casually. It was because they couldn't afford it at all. Only when they were fully prepared would they choose to attempt to break through to the immemorial ancient realm. They would then gather the laws of the world and transform their creation territory into the world territory. Chapter 2761. However, this kind of thing was actually understandable. Try to imagine this. An immemorial ancient full cultivation state expert had to cultivate for billions of eras before he could accumulate enough source energy of the universe. However, after a few rounds of impact, the source energy would be depleted cleanly and turned into nothingness. Moreover, these attempts might not necessarily succeed. If he wanted to continue accumulating enough origin energy, it would probably take the ancient sages billions of years to accumulate it. The amount of time needed was not something a mortal could imagine. Even though the ancient sages had an endless lifespan, it was still difficult for them to endure such a loss of time. In fact, as one tried to break through again and again, the probability of breaking through would become lower and lower, and the bottleneck would become more and more terrifying, making it difficult to break through to the Archean realm. Therefore, every time the ancient sages attempted to break through to the archaic realm, they had to be extremely cautious. If they didn't have absolute confidence, they would choose to continue cultivating and solidify their foundations. However, Xiaoping was different. First of all, he was very rich. From this time's forbidden area of the abyss, he had obtained 20 to 30 divine stones. Each of the divine stones contained an astonishing amount of origin energy, which far exceeded the medicinal power of ordinary sacred medicines. Moreover, he also had many world fruits condensed from the world tree. Each world fruit was filled with majestic energy, and a large number of world law fragments. The amount of origin energy contained in a world fruit would probably take an ancient saint billions of eras to accumulate. This was a huge difference. With this majestic energy, Xiaoping had the capital to squander as he pleased. He did not need to be as stingy as other sages, who needed a long time to try once. This was just like how a rich person did business. With hundreds of millions of dollars, they could squander it at will. Even if one business failed and they lost millions, they could continue doing 10 more businesses until they succeeded. Once he succeeded, he would be able to make up for all his previous losses. However, it was different for the poor. If such a business failed even once, it would be beyond redemption. It was unknown how long it would take to complete the original accumulation. This is the difference between the rich and the poor. The laws of space, the laws of time, the laws of creation, the aura of agelessness. Xiaoping circulated the magic power in his body. At that moment, he had an inexplicable realization in the depths of his sea of consciousness. The law of space established the foundation of the world's spatial barrier, forming the outer shell of the world, turning into a crystal wall that enveloped the surroundings. The law of time allowed this world to be divided into the 4 seasons of spring, summer, autumn, and winter, giving rise to many changes. The law of creation created endless matter, giving birth to mountains, rivers, deserts, and valleys, forming the material world. The undying energy formed the air, bringing life to all things in this world, formlessly flowing about. All of this formed a complete world. Crash, the creation domain in Xiaoping's body, seemed to have turned into a chaotic state. It constantly revolved and condensed. At this moment, the laws of time, space, creation, and other laws seemed to be condensing into one and started to give birth. Within the creation domain, there seemed to be a giant sun furnace. Boundless flames burned, as though it was refining the entire creation domain and removing impurities. Vaguely, he sensed that his creation domain seemed to have formed many crystal walls around it, enveloping the domain in all directions. It seemed to have formed a firm world. This was originally an illusory domain of creation, but at this moment, under the operation of countless laws, it gradually turned from illusory to reality, forming the embryonic form of a world. It was like a house with a foundation, walls, and a roof. This was a rough house, but it was many times better than the previous one. But even so, he had not advanced to the archaic realm, so he could not condense the laws of the world. However, under such an impact, the 30 divine stones that he had obtained this time were all used up. Not a single drop of energy was left. One had to know that the energy of a divine stone was unbelievably huge. It was enough for an ancient sage to break through to the archaic realm, and 30 divine stones were enough for him to break through 30 times. But Xiaoping was different. Just one attempt had used up the energy of 30 divine stones. One could imagine that his consumption of origin energy was not something other sages could compare to. Originally, Xiaoping had wanted to try breaking through again, wanting to completely condense the laws of the world and step into the archaic realm. But no matter how much he revolved his magic power, he could not condense the laws of the world. He was clearly only one step away, but this step was like a natural chasm that he could not cross. Looks like I'm still lacking something. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. He knew that he had broken through to the archaic realm and condensed the laws of the world, not because he had not accumulated enough, nor was it because he had not prepared enough origin energy, but because he was lacking something, a crucial factor, which caused him to fail to break through to the archaic realm. This also caused him to temporarily be unable to condense the laws of the world. Indeed, now that I've reached the archaic realm, condensing the laws of the world and forming the realm of the world isn't that simple. Xiaoping rubbed his chin. To be honest, he had expected this to happen. After all, he had only reached the full cultivation of the archaic realm for a short period of time. He was most likely still lacking some understanding of the laws of the world. This also caused him to not have a deep understanding of the laws of the world. That was why he had failed this time around. But this also proved that it was not that easy to break through to the archaic realm. If it were that easy, then the streets would be filled with archaic sages, and there wouldn't be so many ancient sages in the universe who were stuck at this realm, unable to break through even after billions of eras. But even so, he still had no way of breaking through to the archaic realm. But after this round of tempering, he had a deeper understanding of the laws of the world, which provided him with experience for his next breakthrough. Moreover, this round of tempering had caused his realm of creation to solidify completely. His cultivation base had increased once again, and his powers and bloodline mystic skills had all improved tremendously. Vaguely, the crystallization of every single cell in his body seemed to have become stronger. His internal space had also expanded, and he could store more powers. If one had to describe Xiaoping's current cultivation realm, it would probably be half a step into the archaic realm. While he had not fully comprehended the laws of the world, he had at least reached a sliver of the embryonic form of the world. If Xiaoping were to suddenly have such an opportunity to break through, then stepping into the archaic realm and condensing the laws of the world would only be a matter of time. This round of cultivation was not a waste after all. Xiaoping clenched his fists and felt the abundant power within his body. His current battle strength was at least a third stronger than before, and his powers were even denser than before. He felt a confidence that he had never felt before. Chapter 2762. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. At this moment, Xiaoping finally came out of seclusion. During this period of time, he had stabilized his cultivation base and gained a deeper understanding of the laws of creation. He even had a certain level of understanding of the laws of the world. One could say that his strength had increased immensely. It's time to come out of seclusion. I wonder what secrets are hidden in this abyss. Xiaoping stood up. He knew that the abyss was separated into the outer and inner forbidden grounds. Even demigod-level demons would not dare to step into the inner forbidden grounds, as it was extremely dangerous. The outer forbidden grounds were not as dangerous as the inner forbidden grounds. At the very least, if the demigod-level demons were careful and did not touch the forbidden grounds, they would not die. Therefore, the competition of the forbidden grounds was basically held in the outer forbidden grounds. No demons would be so foolish as to enter the inner forbidden grounds. However, Xiaoping was different. He was here to find the secrets of the abyss. Naturally, he wanted to enter and see what was going on in this famous place. Of course, he would not casually send his real body in. As long as he sent his doppelganger in to investigate, he would not die even if he met with any danger. After all, he could condense his doppelganger back at any time. Whoosh! Xiaoping's body flashed, and he left the world of the classic of mountains and seas, returning to the abyss. Just then, Xia Ping sensed a series of intense void ripples in the distance. Such a battle was even more intense than the battle between the dozens of primordial demons previously. There seemed to be hundreds, or even thousands, of primordial fiendish demons fighting at the same time. It was an unprecedented battle to the death, and terrifying fluctuations of laws erupted from all directions. Interesting. To think that they are fighting so intensely. Could they be fighting for some treasure? Initially, Xia Ping had wanted to enter the inner forbidden grounds. However, he felt that it would not be too late to delay and watch the show. He might even be able to reap some benefits and be the fisherman. Whoosh! In an instant, Xia Ping's body flashed and he tore through the void. In an instant, he arrived at the place where the battle was taking place. At the same time, he concealed himself and seemed to blend into the void ripples. Even the surrounding primordial demons could not detect him. It was as though he was hiding in the depths of the dimension. He looked over and realized that the abyss demons seemed to have split into two sides in midair. There were more than 1,000 of them, and all of them were archaic realm beings. As for immemorial ancient realm beings, they didn't dare to join in at all. They simply fought with true flames, displaying a tyrannical world domain. Worlds collided, erupting with terrifying natural law fluctuations, destroying everything. I see. After listening for a few minutes, Xia Ping finally understood why this group of abyssal demons were fighting so fiercely. It was because a small group of primordial demons had come to this place. They were extremely lucky and found the place where a god had fallen. There was a large amount of God's blood flowing in this place. It had even formed a small lake. Due to the erosion of divine blood and divine power over a long period of time, the ground had formed a vein of divine stones. There were at least 100,000 divine stones excavated. Apart from that, they also found more than 10 pieces of divine artifact fragments. One could imagine how great the harvest was. Let alone a primordial fiendish demon, even a demigod fiendish demon would be envious at the sight of such treasures. They would want nothing more than to seize all the treasures inside and take them for themselves. However, at the start it was just a small group fighting. Later on, they called their friends and countless reinforcements came. In the end, it was a spectacular scene of thousands of primordial demons fighting. In reality, whoever could get their hands on this treasure would basically be the champion of the Abyss Grand Tournament. Therefore, be it for the treasures or for the victory of the Grand Tournament, they would definitely not give up here. Fight, fight. It's best if all of them die. Xia Ping rubbed his chin and was overjoyed. He had not expected to encounter something like this in this place. If both sides were to suffer heavy losses, he might be able to take the opportunity to reap all the benefits. Not only would he be able to obtain the corpses of the primordial demons, but he could also take the opportunity to snatch all the treasures that these primordial demons were fighting over. This was akin to eating up the one above and eating the one below. But at this moment, a strong natural law fluctuation came from afar. It was devastating, and it just so happened that it hit the void where Xia Ping was at. Boom! In the next second, Xia Ping's real body appeared from the depths of the void. He had not expected to be so unlucky to be hit by the aftermath of the battle between these abyssal demons. But actually, this was not something that was difficult to encounter. After all, the battle between thousands of primordial demons had almost destroyed the void within a radius of billions of kilometers. The battle fluctuations were everywhere, and there was almost no space to dodge. Therefore, it was very normal for this to affect Xia Ping. Flower Demon Austin? Instantly, some primordial demons noticed Xia Ping. After all, everyone present was primordial demons. This was an extremely intense battlefield, and Xia Ping was currently disguised as Austin, an immortal demon. Such an immortal demon appearing in front of so many primordial demons was like a little white rabbit suddenly appearing in front of thousands of ferocious tigers. How could this not attract attention? In an instant, all the primordial demons noticed Xia Ping who had suddenly appeared. They could not be blamed. After all, in such an intense battle, their nerves were instantly tense, and they had to pay attention to every movement around them. Otherwise, if they were even slightly careless, they would probably die. Therefore, no matter what unexpected situation occurred, they would immediately pay attention to it. They would definitely not be careless. What's going on? Why would Austin appear in this place? A clear voice could not help but cry out. The one who had spoken was Moon Demon Monica, a top-tier beauty. Her beautiful eyes looked at Xia Ping in disbelief, as if she had never thought that Xia Ping would appear here. To be honest, Monica originally did not intend to participate in this abyssal forbidden ground competition, and her father, the Night Devil King, also forbade her to participate. However, after seeing so many ex-girlfriends of Austin, she immediately became angry and felt that she had to participate. Otherwise, during the competition, Austin would be snatched away by those shameless female demons, and her man would be snatched away. Therefore, she played some tricks and used the power of the Night Devil King to forcefully participate in this abyssal forbidden ground competition and sneaked in. This time, in order to find Xia Ping, she walked everywhere and inadvertently fell into this battlefield. Because of Moon Demon Monica's tyrannical strength, she even became one of the main forces of the battlefield and encountered most of the pressure. Many primordial demons joined forces and wanted to hammer Moon Demon Monica to death. Sogu website. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.